Okay, today, December 14th, 2023. It's our 36th, right?
I think it's 37th.
Really?
Oh no, because of the vacation. You're right.
Yeah.
Because I counted yeah.
Yeah, 36th session, reading Urantia book
Yeah.
with Heidi. We are going to read paper 111, The Adjuster and the Soul. 今天是12月14日2023，我们与海蒂读育书第36次会议，要读第111篇调整者与灵魂。好的，谢谢大家的参与。Heidi, it's your ground.
Oh, take it away. Take it away,
Take
Heidi. Okay, so yes, as Ricky just said, we're reading paper 111, The Adjuster and the Soul. We're still in the Thought Adjuster papers, but this is the last one of all the Thought Adjuster papers. And then, yeah, this is the last one that's just about thought adjusters. Personality survival, the next paper is about a little bit about thought adjusters, but mostly it's about personality survival.
他说这个111篇是关于思想调整者的最后一篇然后下一篇是人格的续存是有跟思想调整有关，但是更多的在人格续存方面。
The way the Urantia book is written, even though we're just finishing up the whole section on the thought adjusters, there are other areas of the book that tell us more about thought adjusters, but this is the whole section that's just mainly about thought adjusters.
Operating the Zoom part. Okay, Heidi, what did you say? Sorry.
Sure. There's some, I just wanted to point out that it's very exciting. This is the last second paper on that's just devoted to thought adjusters in the thought adjuster section of the book. But the next paper, paper 112 is personality survival. So it's a little bit about thought adjusters, but not as much as these papers we just read. And the next paper is the last paper in the book by the solitary messenger who wrote the whole thought adjuster section.
对，就是专门讲思想调整者的就到这一篇，下一篇那个人格的续存呢，他也是单独使者写的，因为他也是有关于这个思想调整，但是更那个集中在人格的续存。
And I just wanted to tell everyone that even though this is the whole section devoted to thought adjusters in the book, throughout the book, there are other areas where you can also get some interesting information on thought adjusters that's not in this section, but smaller areas, like paragraph here, paragraph there.
当然这个全书其他的地方也有一些零星的地方也提到思想调整者哈，也有提到，但是集中的讲的思想调整者也就是这几篇。
Okay, so here we go. Paper 111, The Adjuster and the Soul. The presence of the divine adjuster in the human mind makes it forever impossible for either science or philosophy to attain a satisfactory comprehension of the evolving soul of the human personality. I'm just going to read that sentence again. because I wasn't focused enough. The presence of the divine adjuster in the human mind makes it forever impossible for either science or philosophy to attain a satisfactory comprehension of the evolving soul of the human personality. Okay. The Marancha soul is the child of the universe and may be really known only through cosmic insight and spiritual discovery. Who's reading? Shunli?
Shunli is have to go out, so
okay.
he is not going to attend today's meeting. 哦，叶明念，那对，再来一个伙伴读今天他的那个翻译，就我们翻译的部分，然后再读一下，就是他读英文，我们来一个伙伴读中文，哪个伙伴？莉亚、艾娃，刚才你们俩没读，你们两个谁给读一下翻译？
我读
行啊，
吧。
我来吧。
哦，好。
是第一段吗？
对，今天的翻译都你来读吧，如果方便的话。
现在是读第一段是吧？
对。
好，111.0.1，神圣调整者存在于人类心智中，这使科学或哲学永远不可能对人类人格的进化中的灵魂达到令人满意的理解。灵智性的灵魂是宇宙的孩子，只有通过宇宙洞察力和灵性发现，才能真正了解它。
Heidi.
Okay, and who is that reading? I couldn't see for some reason on my.
Eva.
Is that
怎么了？
Okay, I think she doesn't have an English name, so it's in Chinese, right?
Eva, 把你的英文写在你的名字后边，要不然他不知道怎么称呼你。
好的。
Yeah, I asked Eva to add English name after her Chinese name, so you can recognize her.
Okay, anyway, thank you, Eva. And so she just read the first paragraph, right?
Yes.
Okay, so basically it's just saying that and this is good because all right, I'm saying, this is me saying, there's so much confusion about on this planet about what the soul is and what the spirit is, and this is going to help us clear up the difference.
对，在这个星球上有很多的困惑混淆这个灵魂和灵性，那么这个 paper 包括这一段那个是对试图来区分这两个概念。
I believe that this book clears up, explains the difference, probably, well, almost definitely better than any other book ever written.
对，在他的意见看来，这个月然下之书这几篇是就是帮助这个澄清这些的概念是最清楚的啊，在他读过的书当中，他认为这月然下之书把这两个概念是区分的最清楚的。
We already know, we already have a pretty good understanding of what the thought adjuster is because we just read all those papers about the thought adjuster. And the thought adjuster, I think the thought adjuster in this book, they call it the mystery monitor and also the divine spark. And I think it's what many people refer to as our spirit, but a lot of times when people talk about the spirit, they're talking about the Holy Spirit, so that there's more confusion there. But in terms of our understanding, we could think of our thought adjuster as our spirit and our soul as our soul.
我们就是这个思想调整者呢，又在这本书当中又被称为神秘监督者啊、神圣的火花呀、神圣咨询者这些的概念。那么往往我们说到灵性的时候，在外边的书当中有可能是指的是圣灵，但是在这本书当中跟那个思想调整者就是被那个是那个灵性，就是在预书当中这个灵性呢，就我们里边的灵性指的就是思想调整者。
Because the thought adjuster truly is a spirit. It's a being, an entity. It's a fragment of God. But we are a mortal being, but our thought adjuster is a spirit, and it does live in us. So when people talk about your spirit, we really do have a spirit, and it's our thought adjuster. It really is a spirit.
对，那个思想调整者就是一个本体，一个存有，是神的片段。我们是凡人哈，肉身的凡人。那么思想调整就是我们里边的灵性。
So the thought adjuster is a separate entity. It's a fragment of God. It is God, and it lives inside us. The soul is not a separate entity. It will never be a separate entity. It's more like a cosmic reality.
对，那个思想调整者是单独的，这个是单独的一个本体的，是生活在我们里边。但是灵魂不是一个单独的本体，它是一个宇宙的实相。
We will learn from this paper exactly what the soul is, but what they're saying in this first paragraph is they're saying that it is impossible, the presence of the divine adjustment of the mind, because the soul is formed by our mind and the thought adjuster living in our mind, because the soul is sort of like the child of the thought adjuster and our mind. This book is saying it's impossible for science or philosophy to attain it, to really understand what the evolving soul is. It's not possible. I mean, the book is going to tell us, but without this explanation, it wouldn't really be possible for them to figure it out.
Yeah. 对，这个灵魂呢，是在我们的心智当中孕育的，是这个思想调整者在我们的心智当中生活，然后跟那个心智一起诞生的孩子，那是科学啊、哲学啊这些头脑的东西就没有办法理解进化中的灵魂啊，没有这本书的解释，我们没有办法理解。
So it's saying that the soul can really only be known through insight and spiritual discovery. That's what it says. We can know the soul the way we can know God, but you can't ever know what the soul is just by, some philosopher or scientist trying to explain it. You can know it yourself by discovering it.
对，这个灵魂是 I didn't get your first part.
Sure. So there's some things that there are certain things that just can't be really discovered through science or philosophy. A lot of things in life can be discovered through science and or for philosophy, but the soul is not one of them. You can only discover it really by discovering yourself personally, by having your own insight into your own soul, and that's the only way to understand the soul.
他就说不能用那些的头脑的知识科学哲学这些的知识去对灵魂能有什么了解，你就要个人性的就这种灵性的探索呀，去发现去了解这个灵魂。
Okay, so I'm going to read the second paragraph. The concept of a soul and of an indwelling spirit is not new to Urantia. It has frequently appeared in the various systems of planetary beliefs. Many of the Oriental, as well as some of the Occidental faiths, have perceived that man is divine in heritage as well as human in inheritance. The feeling of the inner presence, in addition to the external omnipresence of deity, has long formed a part of many Urantian religions. Men have long believed that there is something growing within the human nature, something vital that is destined to endure beyond the short span of temporal life. Okay, Eva.
OK，110.0.2，灵魂和内住灵性的概念在预染下并不新鲜，经常出现在各种行星信念系统中。许多东方和西方的信仰都认为，人具有神性的传承，也具有人类的血统。神性内在灵在的感觉以及外在的无所不在，很久以来就构成了很多预染下宗教的一部分。人们很久以来就相信人性内有一些东西在成长，这些重要的东西注定要超越短暂的生命而延续下去。
Okay, thanks. So what they're saying is religion, Eastern, Oriental, and Western, Occidental, have religions in the East and the West, Oriental and Occidental, have understood that we're not just human animal origin beings, that we also have a divine inheritance.
对，东方和西方的宗教都承认，就是我们不光是有动物的，人的这个来源，并且还有这个神性的传承。
So this is this next sentence is very interesting because it says the feeling, it says the feeling of the inner presence this is actually the third sentence. The feeling of the inner presence, in addition to the external omnipresence of deity, has long formed a part of many Urantian religions. So what they're talking about there is something that's very interesting, because so many religions, so many people feel like there is a God out there, up in the sky, like a man with a beard, or the source of all the universe, some spiritual presence. We have an innate understanding, and religions talk about this, that there is a God somewhere out there, the source of all things, but that there is also a spiritual presence within us. So the book is saying many religions do have that, do recognize that we have a feeling of an inner presence as well as a feeling of an outer omnipresence, which means a presence everywhere. God is everywhere, but he's also inside us. So they do have, so religions do recognize that duality.
对，东西方的宗教呢，大概都是就是说我们的往往就是想到神呢，有的时候会想到高高在上的，在空中的留着长胡子的那么一个神圣的存在，当然也同时也承认，也就是自己就是这个万物的源头也同时在自己的内里，在很深的自己的深处，就是这样的无所不在的这么一个存在。
So they're saying that the idea of the thought adjuster, the idea, the concept, the reality of our thought adjuster is not new to the Urantia book. Religions have had many religions have had an understanding that there is some kind of God spirit within us.
对，那像调整者的概念，对很多的宗教也并不是说只有玉书才讲这个，在很多的宗教当中也是承认，就是我们里边有神在我们里边存在。
And now it says that, so that's religion. But now it says, the last sentence is, men have long believed that there is something growing within the human nature, something vital that is destined to endure beyond the short span of temporal life. So religion has never really explained this because it's never really been fully understood. I do believe, as I said, this is probably the best explanation that's ever been given. But we have sort of insight. Well, first of all, we know we've just been so confused about our soul and our spirit. But we have had a feeling that there is something that's growing, that's evolving, and that will continue beyond life. Now that's different than the Spirit of God that we also feel inside us, because that Spirit of God is more like separate or above us or deeper or a guide to us, whereas the soul that we also have a feeling about is really us, the part of us that we know is going to survive after death or forever.
对，那么这个宗教呢，实际上对这个并不是给很好的这个了解和解释，那么会造成我们对灵魂和灵性的混淆。那么我们都知道在内里有东西在进化，在成长，这个跟内里我们有神的存在，或者神高高在上一个单独的存有，这个是不同的。所以就是我们的灵魂呢，是在我们死后是还可以继续存在的。这个是宗教当中他也承认。
Okay. Okay. So to finish up this paragraph, one of the differences is that we can feel God in our heart. Many of us and many religions will recognize that there is God in our heart, but there is also something growing inside us, something expanding, something becoming, it's kind of like when we feel like we become, you don't meet many yogis or many gurus that are 20 years old. it's because there's that depth of understanding, that richness of spirituality is something we recognize grows and evolves.
对，就是我们都能在心里边感知神的存在，另外一方面知道有些什么东西在我们内里成长，那就不光是那些的瑜伽师啊、精神导师啊，那个能够体会到，就是我们也能够体会到，我们就是有一部分，我们内里有一部分东西跟灵性有关的东西在成长，变得丰富。
That deepening, that expanding and deepening cosmic understanding, we recognize, we don't talk about it much, but we recognize it within us. We feel it. We recognize it in other people. For instance, that's different than a college professor or a mechanic or someone who we know develops their brain, becomes a better mathematician or smarter because they're 60 years old or they're older, so they're smarter. They have more human experience. We recognize that as something different than a kind of an older person who has an expanded soul, a deepening spiritual understanding. That's something we recognize, the difference between becoming smarter and gaining practical experience in life and our evolving soul. We don't talk about it much, but we recognize it.
对加深的宇宙的了解，对，就是不光在我们里边，在其他的人身上，这不像那大学的教授呢，他也许只是发展大脑智力的部分变得越老呢，变得更聪明，更那个知识更渊博，这是就灵魂的扩展方面的，就是跟实际生活这个知识啊、大脑的那个扩展那个是不一样。
But the Spirit of God that we also feel inside us and that we feel is inside all of us, we don't really see that as changing or growing or developing. If we can talk to a child and say, do you feel God in your heart? And they'll say yes. Or we can say, you have God, God lives in your heart, and they'll understand that. That we don't feel like, well, the God that lives in a child's heart is not quite as developed as the God that lives in my heart. We don't feel that. We recognize that that spirit is the same, no matter, it's not evolving, it's not growing. It already is God from beginning to end. It doesn't change its character.
对，那神的灵在我们里边就是不会发展变化的。那么你不会，一个小孩儿，说有神在你的里面，然后呢，我们对小孩说是，我们不会认为那个小孩那个里边的那个神，跟我们的里边的神有什么差别。
So this is telling us that even though it hasn't been clearly explained to us in our religion or in our science, or we do have an innate understanding of our soul, and we have an innate understanding of our spirit, and they are we may not realize they're two different things, but we have an innate understanding of these two different concepts.
对，就是这个神，对，从头到尾它是一样的。那么虽然这宗教没有明白的面上就是解释清楚这个差别，但我们天生的就会理解到这个灵魂和灵性的不同。
And people will say, I'm sure you say this in the East as well as we say, do you have the expression, Ricky, in the East, you're an old soul, or he was an old soul?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
know. 就是他就说啊，你们东方有没有说法说啊，你是老灵魂，我是老灵魂这个说法？我说是啊，有啊，有。
But
Yeah.
we would never say, oh, he has an old spirit of God in him and I have a new spirit of God. We would never say that. So we are recognizing the difference. We only use the word soul when we say he's an old soul.
对，我们不会说，哎，它里边有一个新的神的灵性，我里边有一个旧的或者老的神的灵性，我们只会说，哎，他是这个灵魂，他是一个比较有经验还是比较没有经验的，是年轻的还是年纪大的，这个我们自然有这种区别。
So the Urantia book is telling us that we have had an understanding that the soul evolves and can be you can have an old soul, that we've for a long time we've had understandings of these things. We haven't really explained it very well or understood it very clearly, but we have had a sort of intuitive understanding of these things.
对，我们直觉性的知道这些区别啊，就是灵魂是在成长的，在演化的，虽然没有那个很明确的去解释啊，或者去明白。
And anyone who believes in life after death automatically believes in the soul, because you're not saying, well, you have God lives in your heart. Well, some people do think that after you die you just become one with God, but more people believe that somehow you continue. And the idea, who is you? Well, you is your soul. That's who, it's also your personality, but most people don't have an understanding of that. They would think it was just their soul. But anyway, what I'm saying is, yeah, that whole understanding of life after death is a recognition of the soul, because you're not really saying, oh, the spirit of God in you is going to survive after death. No, you're saying you personally are going to survive after death. And Ricky, and I'll see you later, Ricky. I'm not saying I'll see the God in you later. I'm saying I'll see you later.
对，就是相信死后的生活的这个，就自然而然，实际上就相信那个灵魂，它是在你死后还永生的。当然，就很多人不会意识到是人格的续存，但是他们是认为灵魂是在死后那个还继续存在的。当然有一些人他是相信他死后是跟神成为一体。但是，我们往往不会说啊，就是你死后你里边的神性啊，我会再见到你里边的神性，我们就是说再见到你这个，你就是特别的这个啊，这个灵魂，它是就是说那意思就是我们如果相信死后的生命，往往就是相信有灵魂的存在。
Okay, I'm going to read the next two paragraphs. Before man realized that his evolving soul was fathered by a divine spirit, it was thought to reside in different physical organs, the eye, liver, kidney, heart, and later the brain. The savage associated the soul with blood, breath, shadows, and with reflections of the self in water. And now the next paragraph. In the conception of the Atman, the Hindu teachers really approximated an appreciation of the nature and presence of the adjuster, but they failed to distinguish the co-presence of the evolving and potentially immortal soul. The Chinese, however, recognize two aspects of a human being, the yang and the yin. the soul, and the spirit. The Egyptians and many African tribes also believed in two factors, the Ka and the Ba. The soul was not usually believed to pre-exist, only the spirit. Okay, Eva.
OK， 111.0.3，在人类认识到他进化的灵魂是由神灵孕育而来之前，人们认为灵魂聚集在不同的器官中，眼睛、肝脏、肾脏、心脏，然后是大脑。野蛮人将灵魂与血、呼吸、影子以及自己在水中的倒影联系在一起。111.0.4，在阿特曼的概念中，印度教的导师近乎真正了解调整者的本质和存在，但他们未能辨别出进化中灵魂与潜在不朽灵魂的共同存在。而中国人认识到人的两面性，阳和阴，灵魂和灵性。埃及人和许多非洲部落也相信两个因素，即卡和巴。人们通常不相信灵魂是早已存在的，只相信灵性是这样的。OK。
Okay, thanks. So they're just saying that even primitive men, they're calling them savages, had an understanding of the soul, that there was something in us that was different. So maybe some tribes thought that if they saw themselves reflected in the water, in a river or pond, that was their soul they were seeing. Or they thought that it was something inside them that lived in the kidney or the heart or the liver. I don't know why, why they pick these organs, but that's one thing they're saying.
他就是第三段是说，这个即使是很原始的人，他也相信这个人是有灵魂的啊。他当将灵魂与血啊、呼吸啊、影子这些联系在一块儿，还相信灵魂寄居在不同的器官中。But Heidi, we in Chinese culture, we do believe. Soul partly lives in those inner organ, or especially those, yeah, 我们有那个三魂七魄嘛，那个魂魄其实都是跟灵魂有关系的嘛。当人死了之后，三魂七魄就走了嘛。所以实际上就那个五脏嘛，五脏就是那些魂魄就是居住在那儿。我们中医来讲是相信这个的，这些 ，Yeah。Well, we believe so. Partly of the soul lives in those organs. Yeah.
All of them? All of them? All the organs?
It's a part of the kind of Chinese medicine. That system. We. Yeah.
But do you believe that, because the next paragraph talks about how the Chinese believe in yin and yang, the soul and the spirit. So do you believe just the soul lives in these organs, not the spirit?
No, not about the spirit. No, it's soul.
But the yin and the yang, do you in China, do they consider the yin to be the spirit and the yang to be the soul?
No, that is the new explanation of yin and yang. But in our innate understanding, we don't know this. We don't know that yang actually mean corresponding to soul, but yin is corresponding to the spirit. Because in our system of belief, we have no concept of God. So no, we don't recognize God or divine counselor or those things at all. So I'm surprised that that there is this one, but it really makes sense, 灵魂和灵性就是代表阳和阴 这一段实际上我们并没有意识到这一点，但是这个地方他把阳和阴是这样对应，我觉得非常的有道理。阴和阳嘛，那个阴阳图嘛，就是阳是表显的部分，阴的是那个不表显的部分，所以这个是非常的，我觉得非常棒。Yeah, I feel
So
it makes perfect sense.
yeah, but it says anyway, it says the Chinese, however, well, wait, in the conception of the Hindu teachers, okay, so they're talking about the past because they say the Chinese recognized, they don't say recognize, right? They say recognized. So this was in ancient China in the past.
But
Because
it's telling them those teachings are from very advanced civilization. They just taught Chinese ancestors. It's not invented by Chinese ancestors. So that is those ancient knowledge passing down from, kind of external civilization. So they just teach part of human beings back then. This knowledge to Chinese is not Chinese unique contribution. No.
I don't understand what you're saying. Are you saying that this knowledge was lost a long time ago and wasn't passed down?
No. We all know the yang and the yin, but we never actually relate yang with soul, but yin with spirit. No,
Well,
we don't do that.
You're saying, but the book is saying that at one time you did.
Yeah, and right. It's kind of now it's kind of distorted maybe, or
Yeah, it's been
people
lost. I think it's been
this
lost.
knowledge is lost.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel very much happy to see this. I think it makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Okay, so so they're saying that before maybe. Okay, they're saying that the Hindu teachers, in the conception of the Atman, the Hindu teachers really approximated an appreciation of the nature and presence of the okay, evolving. So they're saying that the Hindu teachers really were not able to do, they appreciated the nature and the presence of the thought adjuster, but they failed to distinguish the co-presence of the evolving immortal soul. So the Hindu teachers just pretty much had no understanding of the soul, but they had a good appreciation of the thought adjuster. But the Chinese did recognize the soul and the spirit, and the Egyptians and many African tribes also recognized the soul and the spirit as two different things.
Yeah，就是第4段哈，相当于就是说印度导师就是了解调整者，就是相当于神性哈，人里边有神性的存在啊。但是呢，中国人就是我们那个道的那部分的知识，实际上是认识到了这个两面性，阳和阴，就是灵魂和灵性啊。灵魂是表显嘛，灵性就是一个潜在的源头。没有表现出来的部分，这个是，道的那个很本质的一个东西，但是我们实际上没有传承到这个知识。
And they're saying that the soul was not usually believed to be pre-existent, only the spirit. So that's kind of what we're saying, that in a lot in these religions that did recognize the difference between the two, they did recognize that the spirit of God was pre-existent. It didn't begin with us. It was that we had got, when you say God lives in your heart, you're not saying God was born when you were born. You're saying no, he always existed. but when you're talking about your soul, most of these ancient religions did recognize that the soul is born when you're born, is a part of you. It didn't exist before you existed. That's what it's saying.
最后一句是这个埃及人非洲部落，通常不相信灵魂早已存在，灵性是这样的啊，灵性我们就说通常说神住在我们心里边啊，但是灵魂它是出生的，就是灵魂不是永远存在的，不是早已存在的，灵性是早已存在，一直存在的。
You know, when you think of, we rarely think about these things, but technically, right? But when we do think of it technically, we do think, when I talk about, hey, Ricky, you have a great soul, or you can feel it in your soul, or I think you're an old soul, or what a soul you have, these kind of things. I'm thinking of you. I'm thinking of your soul as a part of you. I'm not thinking of a separate entity or something that always existed, or it's very different than when I say, let God speak to you. Feel God in your heart. God lives within all of us. That's two very different things. And so human beings have most religions and humans have had a recognition of the two different things for a long time.
对，就是我们经常会说，哎呀，你是怎样的一个灵魂哈？就是灵魂，我们或者你可以在灵魂里感受到什么什么啊？你是这样一个伟大的灵魂。那么就是我们认可灵魂是我们的一部分，不是一个单独的实体。那么那是我们说神啊，神住在我们心里啊，神它是一直存在的，就是这样，就是这种区别呢，实际上在一些的原始的宗教文化当中也都已经意识到了。
I think it's, it might be a little different in China, where you're not really recognizing spirits and souls and God and all that, but even if you don't socially recognize it, you still have words for all these things. You still have a word for old soul. You still, I mean, I'm not Chinese, so I don't really understand how you get around knowing these things innately and then not recognizing them socially, right? That's a strange idea for me.
Yeah, no, but we are in Chinese culture. We said Tao. Tao is pre-existent. The concept of Tao is almost like concept of God. God is all that is, but Tao is almost the equivalent to all that is, in our culture. So it's just a different word. 我就说我们虽然不懂得。就是不信神，但是我们信道，我们认为道是自有永有的，道是一切万有，所以实际上我们的道的概念就跟西方的神的概念是非常的相似，或者甚至是重合的。Yeah.
But do you, I mean, you have a word for soul and you have a word for spirit?
We don't actually use spirit that much. For those people who study the course in miracle, when they talk about spirit, they would think about Holy Spirit. It is something, but in our native culture, we don't recognize the difference between soul and spirit that much. And also we may think spirit, there are good spirit and bad spirit. You might be possessed by bad spirit. So spirit is something that invisible being, almost the invisible entity.
Well, we use it that way also, like ghost or demon, those are spirits. So we use it that way, but we make it, maybe we define it a little more. But in our culture, the West, we would call a demon or an angel or a ghost, we would call those spirits, but we would differentiate maybe what kind of spirits. And you wouldn't do that?
Yeah, we also know we have different name for different category of spirit or
Yeah.
deity or those invisible life beings. Yeah, we have many categories.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And but you don't really, I'm trying to understand, but you don't really have the spirit of God.
No, we have Tao. Tao is the good spirit. Tao is everything. Tao is infiltrated in everything. So I think the most intimate word that relevant to the concept of God in Western culture is Tao.
Yeah, but okay. So let's say that's the best the best word we can find. But in the West, we would say, we would differentiate between God, the omnipresent, which means present everywhere, omnipresent, the God, or the source that's somewhere in heaven or somewhere out there, the God of all the universes, and the spirit of God that lives in your heart. You could say, can you do that in Chinese, that differentiate those two?
他就说的西方呢，就是说，他也是提到一些的概念，什么一切万有啊，或者是这个源头啊，或者是神住在我们心里啊，就是这些的那个，他就问中文当中有没有这些的，这些相应的这些概念，我说我们大概没有，我们因为不信神嘛，我们不会说，神住在我们里边，我们只是 we only said okay, we are going to follow Tao, which is the natural law, to lead our life. In that way, we are going to be blessed. If we disobey natural law, which is Tao, we are going to be punished. So we don't have those. So it's kind of very much corresponding to whatever you said, omnipresence and the source, because we also believe Tao is the source of the universe, and also Tao is also omnipresent. 对，道是蕴含在一切事物当中。这个是自然规律，是一切的源头，所以就是西方的那个上帝的概念，最相应的，我觉得就只能找到我们的道的概念。我们也是这样的虔信道，然后。
So there really isn't a concept of God living inside your heart in China.
No, we don't have a kind of personal God concept. No,
okay. I'm glad I'm explaining this then. Yeah.
We just view Tao as natural law. Natural law is not a personal God.
Yeah. See, we have a concept of, they're two different, when we think of God, we think of one thing. God is one thing, but we also have, it's just an innate sort of, now if you talk to individuals and you ask them, do you think God lives in your heart, you might get all kinds of different answers. So I'm not saying everyone believes that, but it is a universal Western acceptable belief that God is in your heart. Whether it's I mean, this book is maybe the first one that makes it factual, where they're saying God actually is in your heart and it's your own God. And it's, no, this is new from the Urantia book. but the vague concept of God in your heart is very accepted in the West as a concept, a feeling.
就是神住在我们里面，就在西方是一个比较广泛接受的一个一个概念。虽然有些人他是比较模糊，但是就是一个非常事实性的这么一个论述。对，这一点就跟我们东方很不同。对呀，我就是说，跟他刚才的讨论就是我们很不同。我们基本上没有，大部分人是不相信有神住在我们里面这个概念。
So do you say things in China like, well, you know in your heart it's true?
Yeah，他就说，那中国有没有说法说啊，我知道，心里知道这个，就直觉性的知道这个是真的啊，对这样的。Yeah, we have, yeah, we learn to trust our instinct.
Yeah, it's more like an instinct. Yeah. With us too. I mean, we're not, when we say, oh, you know in your heart it's true, we could say that to an atheist. I mean, you could still have that whether you believed in God or not. But a lot of people who do believe in God would feel that sort of that presence of God inside them.
那信神的人就认为说啊，这种感觉呢是神给他的。那我们呢，就是说就会认为是直觉啊，直觉告诉他这样，但是我们不会认为，不会归因于那种直觉是神给他的一种提示。
When I was little, my grandmother was from Germany. So when I was little, all growing up, she taught me this prayer in German, which whenever I was with her, when I went to bed, I'd always say this prayer in German, and it was, I am little, my heart is small, and no one shall live in it but God alone.
I am little, my heart is small, no one shall live what?
And no one shall live in it but God alone.
But God alone. Oh my goodness. 对，他说他的祖母是德国人，那个他从小呢教他那个祷告，是用德文的一个祷告，是说啊，我很小，我的心也很小，除了神之外，没有人住得进去。How sweet.
Yeah, very sweet, very sweet. But it seemed, it seemed perfectly natural to say that prayer, even though I was saying in German, but but that for a Westerner, that's not like no one would say, what a crazy thing to say, that's perfectly natural thing to say.
那对这个对西方来说，这种的祷告是非常的自然的，是很自然就会有这样的祷告。
So it is an acceptable concept that God lives in our heart in the West.
对，就是一个普遍接受的一个概念，在西方人当中，就是神活在我们心里。
And I would say that we do associate God with the heart in the West.
对，就是西方人相信这个神是跟我们的心连接的。
But when the Urantia book, does not associate the thought adjuster with the heart in particular.
预言下之书当中，这个思想调整者并不是，就是说跟那个特别的跟心理有什么联系。
As we know, because we just read all these papers on the thought adjuster, so we all know that the thought adjuster works with us often mostly through our minds.
刚才那个心内的词就是用的是 heart， 他就说这个地方就是预言下之书，这个思想调整者呢是跟我们的心智 mind 是工作的互动的。
But we're learning now through science that our minds are not necessarily only in our brains, that our minds operate maybe throughout our whole body, or maybe in our hearts and in our blood and in our, we're learning that our minds go beyond the brain.
那我们现在科学也证明了，实际上事实也是这样，就是我们的心智，它是在整个的身体运作的，不光是在大脑里边。
There's definitely something about feeling. I mean, do you have that also in China, where you feel things in your heart? Because we definitely have that. It seems to be, you just like when you say the Pledge of Allegiance, you put your hand on your heart. I mean, there's like something about the heart. Do you have that? I mean, even Valentine's Day, it's the heart. Love is all about the heart. You have that. You have that same thing, right?
I don't know. I don't have that practice that put.
You don't have a whole thing about the heart in China? Like, I love you with all my heart?
But we in Chinese, we said when we said we thought with that thought, that verb in Chinese character, there is a heart in a bit as the bottom part. So we have heart, the physical heart, that the same character as part of the word for the thought. So we do know that the heart is related to mind. Yes. 刚才是说，就是我们经常说我们在心里边感到什么感觉，或者当我们发诗的时候，我们会把手放在我们的心上。那么，那个情人节呢，就是以这个心的形状作为标志。那么，实际上我们的心智跟我们的心，没有办法分开的。他就问，在中国有没有这样的一个联系呢？我就说，那我们的想法的想，那么底下都是心呢。很多关于心智的东西都是以心，不管是竖心啊，还是就是心那个字，都是跟这个有关系的。就是心智和心是不分，也是真的是非常密切的联系在一起的。Yes.
So what I'm talking about now is it's not in the Urantia book. I'm saying that in the West, we associate love with our hearts. When you're brokenhearted, when your lover leaves you, it breaks your heart. When your pet dies or your mother dies, it breaks your heart. When you love someone, you love them with all your heart. When you feel something, you feel it in your heart. With you, it's always the heart and the mind together. It's not the heart separately.
西方他就是说那个当爱人离开你，肉的心碎了，你的宠物或者母亲死了，你说你的心伤心了，难过伤心了，就是这样子的。Yeah, we do the same thing. 伤心 means sad. 伤 means hurt or injure. 心 means heart. Yeah.
Oh, so it is similar.
Yes.
Okay, because that prayer that my grandmother taught me, it was like, we wouldn't say, I am little, my heart is small, my mind is small, and no one shall live in it. But it has to be the heart. It has, you know what I mean? Okay. I just wondered if you had that also.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you have something similar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, I'm gonna read the next 2 or 3. Yeah, I'm gonna read right up to the next section where it says number 1, the mind arena of choice. I'm gonna read right up to there. The next, I think it's 3 paragraphs.
Okay,
or 3 or 4. So the inhabitants of the Nile Valley believed that each favored individual had bestowed upon him at birth or soon thereafter a protecting spirit which they called Ba. They taught that this guardian spirit remained with the mortal subject throughout life
they called the car.
Oh, I'm sorry. Why did I say ba? I don't know why. Oh, maybe I was looking up at the paragraph above where there's ka and ba. Yeah, ka. Thank you. So the inhabitants of Nile Valley believed that each individual had bestowed upon him at birth or soon thereafter a protecting spirit, which they called ka, the ka. They taught that this guardian spirit remained with the mortal subject throughout life and passed before him into the future estate. On the walls of a temple at Luxor, where is depicted the birth of Amenhotep III, the little prince is pictured on the arm of the Nile god, and near him is another child, in appearance identical with the prince, which is a symbol of that entity which the Egyptians called the Ka. This sculpture was completed in the 15th century before Christ. Wow, that's a long time ago. The Ka was thought to be a superior spirit genius which desired to guide the associated mortal soul into the better paths of temporal living, but more especially to influence the fortunes of the human subject in the hereafter. When an Egyptian of this period died, it was expected that his Ka would be waiting for him on the other side of the great river. At first, only kings were supposed to have Kas, but presently all righteous men were believed to possess them. One Egyptian ruler, speaking of the Ka within his heart, again, the heart, said, I did not disregard its speech. I feared to transgress its guidance. I prospered thereby greatly. I was thus successful by reason of that which it caused me to do. I was distinguished by its guidance. Many believed that the Ka was an oracle from God in everybody. Many believed that they were to, quote, spend eternity in gladness of heart in the favor of the God that is in you, unquote. Every race of evolving Urantia mortals has a word equivalent to the concept of soul. Many primitive peoples believed the soul looked out upon the world through human eyes. Therefore, did they so cravenly fear the malevolence of the evil eye. They have long believed that, quote, the spirit of man is the lamp of the Lord, unquote. The Rig Veda says, quote, my mind speaks to my heart, unquote. Okay, Eva.
OK， 那个麻烦往上调一下，好。111.0.5，尼罗河流域的居民相信，每个受神眷顾的个体在出生时或不久之后就会被赋予一位被称为卡的保护灵。他们教导说，这个守护灵将一直陪伴着凡人，直到他进入未来的世界。在卢克索的一座寺庙的墙上，描绘了亚蒙赫特普三世的出生场景。小王子被描绘成坐在尼罗河神的怀中，而他身旁还有一个孩子，看起来与王子一模一样。这象征着埃及人所谓的卡。这雕像完成于公元前15世纪。111.0.6，卡被认为是天才超灵，他渴望引导关联的凡人灵魂走上更好的世俗生活之路，尤其是影响人类主体在来世的命运。这一时期的埃及人，他期望在去世时，他的卡会在大河对岸等着他。起初，人们认为只有国王才拥有卡，现在人们相信所有正直的人都拥有卡。一位埃及统治者谈到他心中的卡时说，我没有忽视他的话语， 我害怕违背他的指导，我因此获得了巨大的成功，因为他让我做了那些事情，所以我成功了。我因为他的指引而卓越。许多人相信卡是每个人心中的神谕，许多人相信他们将在内在的神的恩典中内心喜悦的永生。111.0.7玉苒下上进化中的每一个种族都有一个相当于灵魂概念的词。许多原始民族认为灵魂通过人类的眼睛观察世界，因此他们非常害怕邪恶之眼的祸害。长期以来，他们一直相信人的灵是上主的灯。吠陀经说，我的心智对我的心灵说话。OK。
谢谢 Eva。估计他又去搞他的猫和狗去了。
Okay, I'm coming.
眼睛是心灵的窗户，是啊，我们也都这样说嘛。
So that's pretty clear what that means. They're just
Yeah.
talking. Yeah. The only thing I would say about that is that it's kind of like they combined the thought adjuster and the soul into one thing, you know? Because a lot of what they're saying there could also be describing the thought adjuster.
就这些原始的这些的文化呀、宗教啊或者信仰啊，就是往往把那个灵魂和灵性就混在一起了。
But it you know, it's nice to see that, you know, these people so long ago, you know, maybe 15 centuries before Christ, right? Do you have the same calendar? I mean, you don't have the same calendar as us where before Christ and after Christ, right? What is your calendar must be completely different.
Yeah, we have different dynasties in Chinese history. So every emperor got on sovereignty. We are going to count that. They are given a name of that era, and then counting the first year, second year after that name.
I'm aware of the Ming Dynasty, and you know
Yeah.
I know the idea of these dynasties, but so when you're counting, you would say year 400 in the Ming Dynasty or something like that. That's
No. It also depends on which emperor is inherited the resume the is in control. So if Qianlong emperor is in control, which has Qianlong Yuannian, means the first year of Qianlong in sovereignty. So we name after the year is specific after each emperor.
So you have to, so you remember the order of all the how many emperors or dynasties were there?
I don't know, I can't remember.
So how far back does it
多少
go?
啊？这个观众知道吗？我们一共多少朝代啊？我们从秦始皇开始有多少朝代啊？伙伴们知道吗？他就问着我们有多少个朝代，我就告诉他我们的元年是从这个某个皇帝继位开始，从他的纪年是这么个记法。他就这个地方，因为这个0.5第5段是关于这个
那个我刚才查了一下，百度说是24个
，24个朝代啊。
从夏商周开始到清是24个。
夏商周 Oh yeah, Eva said, Baidu says there are 24 dynasties in Chinese history.
So
Realization.
how far back do they go? Like thousands and thousands of years?
那夏朝是大概公元前多少？相当于几千年啊？夏朝。来吧，你查一下，夏朝就是第一个朝代，建立的时候是大概公元前多少年？几千？
上面写的大概是公元前2070年到1600年。
夏朝啊。
Yeah,
the first dynasty appeared in about 2000
2070。
2070 years before Christ.
Okay. So how would you say something before that beginning? You would say like 300 years before that dynasty, that emperor? That's how you would do it?
他就说，那么在这种朝代纪年开始之前，怎么样去记载时间？我们就没有时间了。我认为我们就没有时间了，我们只能说哪个时候。比如说那个，尧舜禹时代啊什么的，我们 and before that we don't have clear concept or year about whatever. We don't have any records then.
Well, what if you were talking about like like something that happened 6,000 years before Christ? How would you explain that?
No, we don't. We only see when there are also very ancient emperor, even before the first dynasty
Yes.
established, and when we would only see when Yao was in sovereignty, or when Shun is in sovereignty. These are ancient emperor that not counted as the beginning of the dynasty, but they are also emperor. They are also kind of a leader among Chinese people. So we would only see very vague.
So you wouldn't say
term.
exact, yeah, so you wouldn't really, but are most Chinese people aware of Western timekeeping?
They adopted only after, like in China, when Communist Party take control of China's land, we use that. But in Taiwan, they still use their own method of recording time. Like they have 民国多少年，民国几百年，现在是民国200多年大概，反正 yeah, Taiwan still use their own method. They don't use BC or AC.
But mainland China does now?
Yeah, mainland China adopted this BC AC.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
Right.
So in Taiwan, where we have people in Taiwan in our group here, but they have an understanding of Western timekeeping.
Yeah, they are yes, they think in their university they use the BCAC system.
Yeah.
But even in the official record, like in the court, documentation, they still use like their own method. So only after Sun Zhongshan began to rule China back then. so the Qing dynasty is the last dynasty. After Qing dynasty is taken over by People's Republic. 民国是怎么说的？民国 People's Republic.
Yeah, like was that Chiang Kai-shek?
No, Chiang Kai-shek is after Sun Zhongshan. Sun Zhongshan is the person who overthrow the Qing dynasty. So
Okay.
it's since maybe the first year of Mingguo is not, since 1911. So 1911 is their year one.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, so now it's their year 200 or something.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. So I won't take any more time on that. So but it's just nice. It's just nice to hear, speaking of what we just read, it's nice to hear that an ancient Egyptian ruler was he was talking about his ka, but it sounds like he's talking about his thought adjuster, he's talking about how he was guided. He's talking exactly like, remember we read the part about, I think we already read it, the part about the thought, or maybe we're about to read it, the thought adjuster's problem. Oh, I think we're about to, no, we read it the other day, the part about where the thought adjuster, remember, I think last time, where the thought adjuster gets a little annoyed with us and wishes we would give him more credit. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was so funny. But this ruler is giving his thought adjuster he's doing exactly what the thought adjuster would like him to do.
对，就是他说很有趣，读到这个埃及的王，就是他们描述这个他的卡的时候，这个就像跟我们思想调整者的这个概念很相似。那么我们前面提到那个有一个思想调整者抱怨，就是我们人没有给他足够的这个贡献分数，这个地方呢，这个王却给他的心中的卡就是非常盛赞由于他的指导使他获得了成功，那么他非常的归功于他的卡，也就是思想调整者。对，他就是做这样的比较，非常有趣。
So this Egyptian ruler sounds like a very, very wise ruler.
对，那么这个统治者应该是非常的明智的明君啊，他了解这么深刻的灵性的道理。
Hopefully we'll have rulers who speak this way again before too long.
就是有希望说，在不久的将来，也许我们的统治者也会这样这么灵性进展这么好。
It's very beautiful. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Correction. This is 民国. 民国. The first year of 民国 is 1912. So now to this year, it's 民国 112th year. Yeah.
Okay. That's confusing that we're not all on the same time system, but I guess that's okay. Okay, the next section is called the Mind Arena of Choice, Section 1.
对，第一节是叫这个选择的心智竞技场。
I'm going to read the first 3 paragraphs.
莉亚，要是翻译部分你方便读吗？
Though the work of adjusters is spiritual in nature, they must perforce do all their work upon an intellectual foundation. Mind is the human soil from which the spirit monitor must evolve the Morancha soul with the cooperation of the indwelt personality. There is a cosmic unity in the several mind levels of the universe of universes. Intellectual selves have their origin in the cosmic mind, much as nebula take origin in the cosmic energies of universe space. On the human, hence personal, level of intellectual selves, the potential of spirit evolution becomes dominant with the ascent of the mortal mind because of the spiritual endowments of the human personality together with the creative presence of an entity point of absolute value in such selves. Wait a minute, I didn't read that right. I'm going to read that again. I didn't read it right. On the human, hence personal level of intellectual selves, the potential of spirit evolution becomes dominant with the ascent of the mortal mind because of the spiritual endowment of the human personality together with the creative presence of an entity point of absolute value in such human selves. Wow, that's quite a sentence. But such a spirit dominance of the material mind is conditioned upon two experiences. This mind must have evolved up through the ministry of the 7 adjutant mind spirits, and the material personal self must choose to cooperate with the indwelling adjuster in creating and fostering the Morancha self, the evolutionary and potentially immortal soul. I think I should just stop there because that's a very complicated paragraph.
Leah, 你可以读吗？
我现在没找到哪一段，111点几。
选择的心智竞技场就是第一节啊，第一节的
第一节的第一、第
二
二
段，对。
好的。
Read this one nice and slow because it's pretty
他说让你
complicated.
读慢一点。
就是这个选择的心智竞技场第一段。尽管调整者的工作本质上是灵性的，但他们必须也势必在智力基础上完成所有的工作。心智是人类的土壤，灵性监督者必须与其所内住的人格合作，在心智中进化出灵智性的灵魂。在诸宇宙中的宇宙的各个心智层次中，存在着宇宙一体性。智性自我起源于宇宙心智，就如同星云在宇宙空间的宇宙能量中产生。在智性自我的人类，因此是个人的这个层面上，由于人类人格的灵性禀赋，以及在人自身内的绝对价值实体点的创造性存在，灵性演化的潜力在凡人心智的认同下成为主导。但是，这种物质心智的灵性主导取决于2种体验。这种心智必须通过7个辅助心智之灵的服务而进化，而物质个人自我必须选择与内住的调整者合作，创造和培养灵智性的自我，即进化的潜在的不朽灵魂。OK， 2段。
Yeah.
Okay. So it actually isn't as bad as it sounds.
我说还没有那么难，他一开始觉得这2段很难，他说好像还没有那么难。 OK，
we can figure it out.
说我们是可以把它解开的。
Basically it's just saying that because you see it's a little confusing for us because we skipped right to the thought adjuster papers. We didn't read the rest of the book, so we haven't read about the cosmic mind and the 7 adjutant mind circuits and all that, so that makes it confusing because it's talking about stuff we haven't read about yet.
它这里边我们因为就是先开始读的像调整者的篇章，我们没有那个读这个宇宙心智啊，7个辅助心智之灵啊，所以这个地方第2段就提到这个。
So the first sentence says, there is a cosmic unity in the several mind levels of the universe So in the universe, there are several different levels of mind. Mind is kind of like it's like a reality or energy circuits there that govern our minds. Our minds are when we're on different levels in the universe, mortal, morontial, spirit, our minds are tuned into different universe circuits. They're like mind circuits or mind levels that coordinate with our personal minds. Does that make any sense? Not much.
I'll try. 就是那个宇宙心智呢，它就是相当于这个一个实相的，实相的表达通过这个能量环路来表达的。那么宇宙心智在不同的层次，有肉身的凡人的层次，有灵智性的，还有完全灵性的层次，就是心智相当于就是调频到不同的能量回路，然后又跟这个人格去协调，这样的一个运作。
Ricky, when I don't explain something clearly to you, it's because I don't clearly understand it myself.
他就是对我很那个鼓励，他就说，如果你没有听懂，那就一定是我没有完全懂。就我说这个的时候，我也不完全懂。Thank you. Yeah, this is something that we are going to read more back when we read the Urantia book.
Yes,
yeah,
and
so this is strange concept. So it's something.
And I recently was reading a little bit about the cosmic mind, and it's absolutely fascinating stuff to read. So, maybe at some point we'll just read a little paragraph here or there, just because it's really good stuff.
对，他最近开始读一些这个关于宇宙心智的一些的篇章，他觉得非常的引人入胜。他说有可能我们也可以读那几段，挑出来几段读，以后。
So here the second sentence is, intellectual selves have their origin in the cosmic mind, much as nebula take origin in the cosmic energies of universe space. So that's trying to explain to us how our minds work. So they're saying that our intellectual or mind so hard.
对，第2句是智性自我起源于这个宇宙心智，如同星云在宇宙空间的宇宙能量中产生。它是做这样一个类比，相当于告诉我们智性自我的来源。
I guess they're saying that our minds have a kind of birth, like because they're not physical. So like we know that our bodies are born when we're born, right? But they're saying our minds are born sort of in as part of the cosmic mind. It gives birth to each of our minds. I guess that's what they're saying.
对，就是大概肉身和心识它这个来源不同哈，那个肉身是来源于这个物质界，但是这个心识呢，它是从哪里诞生的？是从宇宙心智的能量当中诞生的。
Okay, so now they're saying that the reason, hold on the human personal level, they're saying that the reason that we are, see, the soul evolves with the cooperation of our mind and our thought adjuster.
对，这个灵魂是在这个心智的同意的这个协调下面，就是由这个思想调整者主导来发展起来的。
And they're saying that the reason our mind is able to consent to cooperate with the soul in developing something spiritual like the soul is because our personality, which is a gift of God, is a spiritual. Personalities are spiritual. They aren't mortal. So because we have a spiritual personality, even though our minds are not spiritual, they're just intellectual, because our mind is working with our personality, which is spiritual, we are able with our mind to develop a spiritual entity, which is the soul. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
almost.
Yeah.
对，这个心智呢，能够同意就去跟相者合作，去发展一个灵性的实体，是因为我们的人格是精神性的、属灵的，不是肉体的，所以才能够让这个心识哈，去跟那个思想调整者去合作、去互动。
They're saying because a personality, the spiritual endowment, has a spiritual endowment. So the personality is a gift of God. Every personality has a spiritual beginning or endowment or component, right? So they're saying that because our mind is dominated by our personality and it works together with our thought adjuster, which is pure spirit, that's why we're able to develop a soul, which is a potentially spiritual, certainly not a physical entity, because its parents, our mind and our thought adjuster, both are spiritual, because our mind, even though it's not spiritual, is dominated and ruled and coordinated by our personality, which has a spiritual beginning.
Yeah， 就是这个人格呢是神的礼物嘛，是神就是赐给我们的这个，所以它也是属于灵性的。那么，之所以心智虽然不是属灵的，但是呢，它是由人格来控制协调的，所以相当于也是有灵性的成分，所以呢，他们两个合作就是 mind。就是心智跟那个思想调整合作，能够产生我们的灵魂。
There is a cosmic mind, which is, I believe it's originates in the infinite spirit. I'm not sure of that, but I'm pretty sure well, let's not even go there, because I'm not so sure about all that, but I'm pretty sure the mind is an infinite spirit thing. But let's just say there's a cosmic mind throughout the universe. But when we're immortal on a material world, we are influenced by the local the local infinite spirit, which is the local mother spirit, which is an aspect of the infinite spirit. But the local mother spirit, the creative spirit who works with Jesus as a partner, right? So this local spirit is in control of our local mortal minds, which are governed by 7 adjutant spirits. We only use those when we're on earth, the 7 adjutant spirits. And when we go to the Marancha worlds, we tune into the cosmic mind.
Yeah， 这个宇宙心智呢是从这个无限之灵发展来的。那么这个在我们这个凡人的世界内是地方造物母灵地方造物母灵就是从无限之灵来的。那么它跟这个耶稣，也就是我们的地方宇宙的造物主义，就是一起对，那个so local universe is created by Jesus and the local mother spirit.
Yeah, the local universe, which isn't the local system. It's huge, right? It's Nebadon. It's a universe of 10 million worlds. It's huge. Yes, every local universe is created by a Michael's son, a son of God, a Michael's son, and they create the universe with a creative spirit, a local creative spirit.
我们地方宇宙是迈克尔之子，就是在我们的地方宇宙就是耶稣迈克尔之子跟这个造物母灵一起来创造的。
So
那么还没完 ，not done yet 就是那个我们的就是凡人的心智是就是由这个7个辅助心智灵的服务，然后下来进化。那么这个7个辅助心智之灵呢，我们只在这个物质行星上来用。当我们下一世那个灵智性的世界，我们就直接的调频到宇宙心识。
And the 7 adjutant mind circuits, their energy levels, they come from our local mother spirit in each local universe.
那么7个辅助心智之灵的那个能量回路呢？这个能量是从哪来的？就是从造物母灵来的。
So all mind on material worlds are tuned in, are the source of them, the fuel, they only exist because of these 7 adjutant mind circuits. Now, when I say all minds on material world, I mean animal minds too. Animals have minds too. So these 7 now of the 7 adjutant mind circuits, only 5 govern animals and people. The 6th and the 7th are like philosophy and I guess spirituality or something like that. The last 2 only humans tune into. They don't, the animals can't access the last 2, but the first 5 govern all of us. But the last 2 only humans can. They don't always choose to use those parts of their mind, but they have. Those are the 2 circuits that differentiate our minds from animal minds.
对，在这个物质的世界，那个是7个辅助心智之灵来掌管这个心识动物的心识和人的心识。那么这7个当中5个呢是 动物和人都受它的调节管制。那么第六和第七个呢，是关于哲学思考啊、灵性方面的追求的，这个是只有人才用的。
So they're telling us that we can start evolving spiritually here in this life, but our mind has to agree to that spiritual evolution.
对，我们就是在肉身的时候的进化，就是我们的心识得同意进行这个灵性的属灵的这个进化。
And if we agree and we will use our personality to agree to this, then the spirit will dominate our mind. We'll have spirit dominated minds. If we consent, if this is what we want, because the spirit is more powerful than the mind, just as the mind is more powerful than the body. Do you have that expression, mind over matter, in Chinese?
Yeah.
Yeah. So mind over matter is a fact. It's a scientific reality. Well, spirit over mind is also a fact. So spirit dominates mind and mind dominates matter. So if we use our mind to consent to spiritual guidance, then spirit will dominate the mind. But it's our choice.
对，那个人格呢，要就是同意，就是那个灵性来统治、掌管、控制这个心识。对，才有灵性的成长。那个，问有没有一种说法，就是心识大于物质，意识大于物质的说法？我说有，他说事实上就是灵性也高于心识，这是相当于心识接受灵性的这指导。
But so it says that we can have a spirit dominated mind, but we can only have it if we meet two conditions.
我们可以选择，就是让灵性来主导我们的心识。那么灵性在什么时候，在另外两种情况下也可以主导心识。
And we must have a spirit dominated mind in order to evolve our soul.
对，我们必须要有这个灵性主导的那个心识，然后来发展进化我们的灵魂。
And here are the two conditions that have to exist in order to have a spirit dominated mind.
那么下面两个条件才能达到这个灵性统治或者那个主导心识。
Here it says in the last sentence, this mind, it says that the two last sentences are, but such a spirit dominance of the material mind is conditioned upon two experiences. So I'm going to say the two experiences.
对，它这是第二段的后两句，就是这种物质心智的灵性主导取决于两种体验。
Number one, the mind must have evolved up through the ministry of the 7 adjutant mind spirits. So that means we can't just be using the five adjutant mind spirits that all animals on earth use. We have to also be using the 6th and the 7th, which is, philosophy and spirituality. We have to be using our mind to the fullest potential in order to allow our mind to be dominated by our spirit. That's what it's saying.
对，第一个只是心智必须通过7个辅助心智之灵的服务而进化，就是说我们不光要受头5个辅助心智 之灵的服务啊，因为那个是跟动物共同的。我们还要就是进一步接收第6、第7个，那就是关于哲学性和灵性追求这方面的这个辅助心智之灵的指导，才能够促进灵魂的进化。
And it says this mind must have evolved up through the ministry of the 7 adjutant mind spirits. So it says evolved. It doesn't say you have to choose to access 7 adjutant mind spirits. It says it must have evolved. So that would say to me that as we're growing through life, we're learning. First, we use all the 5 animal circuits, but then as we evolve, we learn and evolve to use the spirit of philosophy and the spirit of spirituality. I'm assuming those are the last 2, or so it's an evolutionary process. As we are living, we're learning, we're growing, our minds are learning to use all 7 circuits.
对，它这个地方用的词是 evolve up， 那么是一个进化的一个过程，向上的过程。那么首先我们学习用头5个，然后呢，再就是也还要用第6、第7个来学习，来成长，然后才能够达成这个进化的方向。
But it's saying this mind must have evolved. So that means even though it's an evolutionary process, not everyone chooses to evolve. So it's not like you choose to use all the circuits, but you choose to evolve, which is similar. So some people don't evolve enough in their life. They just stay on the animal level. They don't care about using these higher circuits of their mind. So when you start using the 6th and the 7th mind circuit, you're getting very close to Marancha reality. You're transcending the animal level, and you're starting to get closer to the cosmic mind. You're getting to the very reaches of mortal mind ability.
哎呀，就是你那个，你要，心智要进化呢，它要选择进化，它要，就是超越动物的层次，如果你根本就不愿意去用这个7个辅助心智之灵的能量回路，那么你就没有办法去活出那个灵智性的实相。你当我们就这样超越了这个动物的层次之后，我们才跟这个宇宙心智才比较更接近。
So a spirit dominated mind can evolve your soul, but you can only have a spirit dominated mind if you're evolving and using all the 7 mind spirits, and you must choose to cooperate with your thought adjuster. So those are the 2 conditions. You must, in order for your mind to be spirit dominated, and that's how it has to be to evolve your soul, you have to use all the 7 adjutant mind spirits, and then you have to choose to cooperate with your thought adjuster to develop this soul. That's the last sentence.
第2条它是说就要选择物质自我选择与内住调整者合作。对，第1条就是你要选择，你要通过7个辅助心智之灵的服务而进化，就是高的那个能量回路，这7个辅助心智之灵的比较高的能量回路，要跟他们去合作。第2个是要跟这个思想调整者合作。
And this is really, really wonderful, the way they say this last sentence, because listen to what they say. this mind must have evolved up through the ministry of the 7 adjutant mind spirits, and the material mind, the personal self, must choose to cooperate with the indwelling adjuster. Fine, you have to work with you must choose to work with your thought adjuster in creating and fostering the miraculous self, the evolutionary and potentially immortal soul. So this is one of the few places in the book where they say, right, very clearly, that your soul is your miraculous self. This is one of the few places they say that. So your soul is your miraculous. You're building your next self, your miraculous self. That is what your soul is. That's really amazing.
这一句是说，这个你的灵魂很明显的告诉你，你的灵魂就是你的灵智性自我很明显的这样告诉你。大概是书中其他地方也有提到，但是这个是其中之一，就是很明显的，我们就是下一个灵魂，就是下一个我们生存世界的自我。
Eva, can you read the next 3 paragraphs? Because I have to take a 2-minute break.
Yeah. Okay. 艾娃，他让你读下3段，然后他要休息一下。
可以啊。
从4、5、6，对，
是现在读吗？还是？
对，现在读。
行。111.1.4，物质进化为你提供了一个生命机器，你的身体。天赋自赋予你宇宙中已知的最纯粹的灵性实相，你的思想调整者。但是基于你自己的决定，你心智已经被交到了你手中，你活着或死亡都取决于心智。正是在这个心智中，并且用这个心智，你做出了这些道德决定。这些决定使你能够达到与调整者相似，而这也是与神相似。111.1.5，凡人心智是在物质生命期间借给人类使用的临时智力系统。当他们使用这个心智时，要么接受永恒存在的可能性，要么拒绝。心智是关于你所拥有的宇宙实相的一切，它受制于你的意愿，而灵魂、灵智性自我将忠实地展现凡人自我做出的世俗决定所取得的收获。人类意识平缓地依赖底下的电化学机制，并且微妙地触及上边的灵魂、灵智性能量系统。在人类的凡人生命中，他从未全面地意识到这2个系统中的任何一个，因此他必须在自己意识到的心智中运作，并不是心智所理解的东西保证了续存，而是心智所渴望理解的东西。不是心智的样子构成了灵性认同，而是心智所努力成为的样子。不是人类意识到神促成了宇宙扬升，而是人类渴望神。你今天是什么并不重要，重要的是你在永恒中日复一日在变成什么。111.1.6，心智是宇宙的工具，人类的意志可以在上面演奏毁灭的不和谐之音，或者通过同样的个人意志演奏出神认同的优美旋律，从而获得永恒的续存。归根结底，恢复于人类的调整者不受邪恶的影响，也没有犯罪的能力，但凡人心智实际上可以被歪曲、扭曲，并且人类任性、利己意志的阴谋诡计可以让凡人心智变得邪恶、丑陋。同样， 这心智也可以依照一个了解神的人灵性被开启后的意志，变得高贵、美丽、真实和善良，真正的伟大。
Okay. So you read the 3 paragraphs?
Yeah, 4, 5, 6.
Oh, all the way to the nature of the
No,
soul?
no, until God knowing human being, before evolutionary mind.
Yes. Up until evolutionary mind.
Up until God knowing human being.
I know I don't see that one for some reason. I don't see
So, evolutionary mind is the paragraph that we have not read yet.
Okay, I got it. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read material mind is the arena in which human personalities live, are self-conscious, make decisions, choose God or forsake him, eternalize or destroy themselves. Yikes. So they're just saying that all these decisions we make take place in our mind.
对，这个是1.3，就是第3段，就是说，这个心智是做决定的地方。
They're saying we use our mind to make these decisions, even the decision to survive or to destroy ourselves.
对，不管是续存呐，还是这个毁灭啊，都是我们的心智决定的。
It is our choice we can choose God and live for all eternity, or we can basically commit suicide, self-destruct. We'll live one mortal life and that's it, we're gone. It's our choice. And we do that in our mind.
或者我们选择神来达到永久续存，或者我们抛弃神，就像自杀一样，就是这一期物质生命完了就完了。
And we do this in our material mind. We don't make these decisions with our soul. We make these decisions, our material mind, using the 7 adjutant mind spirits, makes these decisions to choose God or not to choose God.
对，物质心智嘛，这个就是我们用这个物质心智啊，然后再接受这个7个辅助心智之灵的服务的侍奉，就是他的协助，然后我们可以做出决定，是选择神或者抛弃神。
If we're evolving our soul, we're evolving our Maranchal self. It's like a fetus. The Maranchal self, our soul, is like a fetus. It's not fully developed. We're not really using our soul to think yet. We'll do that completely in the Maranchal world. We're really just developing it here.
对，那个灵魂相当于一个小胚胎一样的，那么它就是我们就是我们的这个灵之性的灵魂就像那个小胚胎，我们还没有学习怎么样用灵魂去思考，但是就是要保证这个小胚胎的生存到那个下一个世界，我们大概才能够用这个灵魂去思考。
But the soul, okay, this is the thing. The soul can get very developed here, and we can start using it. We can start living a Maranchal life partially here, but we can't do that unless with our human mind we make the decision to choose God and to be an eternal spiritual being, right? So we can start becoming a soulful Maranchal being in this life, but we have to use our human mind to make that decision to do it.
对，这个实际上在这个物质界，我们灵魂也可以就是非常的发达，发展到一定的程度，这部分的就是活出了灵智世界的生活。但是呢，我们的物质心智得做出决定，就是认可我们自己也是一个灵性的存有。
We can't have a highly developed soul until our human mind makes the decision to receive the guidance of our thought adjuster, our father fragment. So when we agree to do the will of God with our human mind has to make that agreement, then we can start really developing our soul.
对，我们的人类的心识必须要就是愿意接受这个思想调整者，也就是神的片段，我们父的片段的指导，那么愿意执行神的旨意，有这样的认可，然后来发展，才能就是发展我们的灵魂。
So just one last time, the decision to live for all eternity or not to live for all eternity, to choose God or not to choose God, is done with the human mind, not with the soul, but with the human mind.
对，那选择还是抛弃神，是自己永生或者毁灭，这个不是灵魂的事情，这个是心识、心智的事情。
And the minute we make that decision, our soul can really start growing.
对，那个我们做了这样的决定，那个灵魂才开始真正的成长。
Okay, that paragraph was only one sentence. Okay, the next paragraph. Material evolution has provided you a life machine, your body. The Father himself has endowed you with this purest spirit reality known in the universe, your thought adjuster. But into your hands, subject to your own decisions, has been given mind. And it is by mind that you live or die. That I just said this. It is within this mind and with this mind that you make those moral decisions which enable you to achieve adjuster likeness, and that is God likeness. So basically it's just what we just said, that you're going to develop your soul, you have God can guide you, but you have to make the decision in your mind. You have the seven adjutant mind circuits are enough right here for us to make the decision to choose life or to die. When they mean die permanently. You don't go to the Mirage world, you don't pass go, you don't collect $200, you're gone. So it's just up to us and our mind. The thought adjuster's there to help us make the right decision if we want to listen to our thought adjuster. The soul is there to develop if we want to develop it, but the decision is made in our mind.
对，他再次强调，这个决定是在我们的心识做，是心识里做的决定，either选择续存呢，还是选择这个灭亡，这个毁灭，就是永久的，就是毁灭。
But we do have the help. We do. The mind is it may be kind of almost like a computer or a machine, but we do have our human personality, which is a gift from God. It is a spiritual reality. So we do have our human personality to help us use our mind to make that decision.
我们的心识就像一个电脑那样运作，那么我们同时呢，我们还有人格哈， 我们的人格也是神赐的礼物，是一个灵性的实相。那么这个人格是可以帮助这个心识来做这样决定的，至高的决定。
And you know, you don't have to be smart or intellectual or, you know, a genius or anything else to use your mind to make the right decisions. You just have to think clearly.
你不需要很聪明啊，很有智力很高啊，或者天才啊，来利用你的头脑做这样的一个清楚的决定。
It's like the mind is a wonderful tool that we're given so that we can function correctly. But it's up to us if we want, how we want to use that tool. Do we want to use our mind for the good or for bad? That's our choice.
对，那个心识就相当于一个工具哈，我们神给的一个工具，那么怎么样用它来达成这个好的或者坏的这个目的，是由我们决定的。
So, okay. Now, next paragraph. Mortal mind is a temporary intellect system loaned to human beings for use during a material lifetime. And as they use this mind, they are either accepting or rejecting the potential of eternal existence. Mind is about all you have of universe reality that is subject to your will. And the soul, the Marancha self, will faithfully portray the harvest of the temporal decisions which the mortal self is making. Human consciousness rests gently upon the electrochemical mechanism below and delicately touches the spirit Marancha energy system above. Of neither of these two systems is the human being ever completely conscious in his mortal life. Therefore must he work in mind of which he is conscious. And it is not so much what mind comprehends as what mind desires to comprehend that ensures survival. It is not so much what mind is like as what mind is striving to be like that constitutes spirit identification. It is not so much that man is conscious of God as that man yearns. This is so beautiful. Is that man, as that man yearns for God, that results in universe ascension. What you are today is not so important as what you are becoming day by day and in eternity. Wow, I love that.
Yeah, this is very important paragraph. Yeah.
Yeah. So what it's saying is, that's why I mean, I was getting a little bit close. I didn't get half this profound, but that's why I was saying it doesn't matter how smart you are, how intellectual you are. So what this is explaining that much better. It's saying that your mind is a tool that you use to enact your will. So we have a will. Our personality has a will to choose what we want to become, how we want to be, what we want to think, what we want to do. But our mind is how we express that will. That's what it's saying. We can't express our will without the use of our mind. So it's a beautiful tool that enables us to express our will. So what matters is how we express our will. Yes, our mind will develop. We can use our mind, but we have to first make the decisions how we want to use our mind. And what matters is those decisions.
对，他就说到这个人格，他是有这个做出这个意志哈，人格有自由意志。然后这个心识呢，相当于就是一个工具，用来表达这个自由意志的，是这样子一个关系。对，一旦做出了某种的决定，那么这个心识就负责来执行这个自由意志所决定想要达成的。
So they're saying that it says in the here in this second sentence of this paragraph that the paragraph that begins with mortal mind is a temporary intellect system. Okay, so it says, okay, let's start there. The first sentence: mortal mind is a temporary intellect loaned to human beings for use during a material lifetime. So the seven adjutant spirits, they're only where our human mind accesses these seven adjutant spirits only during this lifetime. So it's kind of like it's temporary. This isn't our permanent mind. Our soul we're developing our permanent mind with this temporary mind. So it's kind of like on loan to us. They're saying, oh, you want to build a computer? Well, you're going to need a computer to build your computer. That's what they're saying. You want to build a computer that will last forever? Here's a temporary computer to help you build that computer. That's how our mortal mind is.
他就说那个7个辅助心智之灵呢，只在我们活着的时候借给我们用的，用它来发展出永恒的灵魂。相当于说一个，你比如说你想造一个永久的电脑嘛，那么你借给你一个临时的电脑，你用它来造出永恒的电脑，永久存在的电脑。
So let's stick with this analogy. So they're giving us a temporary computer, and it's up to us. We can do whatever we want with it. We can use it to build our permanent computer, some beautiful computer that will last forever, and they'll give us everything we need to do this. Our personality, our thought adjuster will all work with us to build this beautiful computer. But it takes some work. Or we can just play video games. We can just use this temporary computer and have a lot of fun with it, play video games. But then at the end, we don't have the permanent computer. So that's our choice. What we do with this temporary computer. Do we want to use it to build a permanent computer to last for all eternity? Or do we want to just use it? See what we can do with it. Do a lot of things that animals can do, as well as people, or just use it to accumulate wealth and worship material things. This is our choice.
对，对这个临时的这个是临时的电脑，相当于我们个人格。然后如果跟思想调整者去合作呢，就产生一个永久的那个灵魂。那么但是如果这个我们拿到这个临时的电脑，我们只用它来玩这个电脑游戏啊，有一些这个寻欢作乐啊，或者是只用它追求物质财富啊，或者只做动物呢也能做的，那么相当于就没有再造这个持久性的电脑。
So it's saying mind, second sentence, mind is mind, your brain, your mind. Well, your brain is the physical part, but your mind is about all you have of universe reality that is subject to your will. So that's interesting because they're saying you don't control your body that much. You don't control your thought adjuster at all. You don't control your personality. You're just given your personality. Your soul is just developing. You don't control that either. The only thing you control is your mind, your thoughts. That's it. That's all we have control over. We have our will. How do we control our will? We can't control our will. We make decisions. That's how we control our will. We choose to will this or to will that. But how do we choose? We choose by using our mind to express those decisions. So that's the only thing we have control of in life. That's why I'm always saying we have to learn to monitor our thoughts. That's the only, then we can control our body. Then we can work with our spirits. The mind is the only thing we have control of in this life.
对，那思想调整者没办法控制，那个什么就是身体电化学机制，我们也没办法控制。我们有控制权的就是我们的心识，就是决定用这个心识去表达决定，所以我为什么强调那个监督我们的心念的重要性？
We don't control other people. We don't control who our parents are. We don't control what's going to happen. We have no control of anything, but we do control how we will react to something, how we will think about something, how we will let it affect us. That we do have, that all takes place in our mind.
对，我们不能够控制我们的人格，或者控制别人。对，我们不能控制别人，不能控制我们生于什么样的父母，或者生活当中发生什么事情，但是我们却能控制我们对事物的发生人事物的反应，怎么样去想，就贴什么标签，就怎么。那个就是外物怎么样影响我们，这些是我们可以控制。
So maybe our mind by itself is not that powerful, but when we use our mind, when we coordinate our mind, our personality, the spirit of God, when we're all aligned together, and then our soul starts reflecting this wonderful collaboration, then it becomes very, very powerful.
对，那个我们的心识哈，跟我们的那个人格合作，跟这个神的灵合作，那么就可以发展出就是强大的灵魂。
So it says, okay, mind is temporary and belong to human beings, and they use the mind there, either accepting or rejecting eternal existence. Okay, mind is about all you have that is subject to your will. And then he says, and the soul, the morantial self, will faithfully portray the harvest of the temporal decisions which the mortal self is making. So you're making decisions in your mind, but now the soul is a reflection of the decisions you make. So your soul, which is your morantial self, it's like a fetus. It's like a fetus that's developing, that's becoming a new person. It's going to be your new person, but it's growing, but it's reflecting the decisions you're making in your mind. The more you coordinate with your thought adjuster, the more developed that fetus will be, that new self. So you can tell how someone is using their mind by observing their soul, the development of their soul.
对，那个灵魂，就是你用心识来做决定，你的灵魂是反映你的这个决定，是一个小胚胎，是一个你的新人的小胚胎，跟这个 那思想调整者合作越多，那么协调越多，你的灵魂就越进展，越成长。所以这是，想知道你是怎么样用你的心识的，就观察你的灵魂的成长，就知道。
So this is interesting here. It says, human consciousness rests gently upon the electrochemical mechanism below and delicately touches the spirit merantial energy system above. So it's saying consciousness, what we are aware of. We're aware of our bodies. We're aware of this energy, the electromagnetism, the electrochemistry. Our bodies are like electrical chemical organisms, and we're aware of them, but we're not fully aware of all of the energy, the physical energy around us. We're a little bit aware of it, and we're also a little bit aware of this of the spirit Marancha energy system above. There is a Maranchal energy all around us. It's right here. The Marancha world is right here. The midwayers live in that world. The angels live in that world. It's right here, but we're not really aware of it. We're a little bit aware of it, but we're very aware of our mind. We're completely aware of our mind, which lives in between the body and the spirit.
对，它就是这个，还是第5段当中的最后2句哈。那个我们对我们的身体呢，这个能量系统呢，这个电磁系统呢，我们电化学系统呢，我们就是了解一点，但是肯定不全部都了解，都能够意识到。这个意识就是对身体不完全意识到，对上面的那个灵魂的灵智性的这个能量系统呢，也不完全的意识到，所以那个掌控的只能够完全意识到，只是我们的心识。对。
When we talk about consciousness, we're talking about our awareness of our minds. Our body can be paralyzed. We still have complete consciousness. We can have absolutely no awareness of the physical reality. We can be blind and not see anything. We can be deaf and not hear. But we can be conscious because consciousness is awareness of our own minds.
对，意识是意识到这个是对我们心识的一个觉知他这个意识，他认为意识是这样的。
We also feel a spiritual reality, and we feel our souls and we feel our spirits. But some people don't. You meet people who are completely in the physical reality. They have, or at least they don't know they have. They're no awareness of the spiritual reality.
对，大部分人我们就是实际上就对灵性的实相是有所感知的，但是有些人是完全把他们沉浸在物质的实相当中，不对灵性的实相完全没有感知。
They even say it doesn't exist.
他们甚至否认这个的存在。
Which is pretty funny because why are they talking about it?
对，那么很有趣，那么对你完全否认它，那你怎么还能够谈到这个事物呢？就是这个如果完全不存在。
But they're just as conscious as anyone else. They're completely conscious. They're completely aware of their minds.
对，实际上他们是还是能够感知他们的信使的。
I think that as we evolve, this is me talking. I think that as we evolve, we can become more and more aware of the morantial and spiritual, because they're two different things. The morantial reality around us and the spiritual reality. Just like there's two things in us, the morantial reality, which is our soul, and the spiritual reality, which is our thought adjuster. Just as there's those two realities in us, there's also those two realities around us.
Yeah，对，他是认为随着我们的进化，我们会越来越意识到灵性的实相和灵智性的实相。那么灵性的实相是像调整者那个层次的，那么灵智性的实相就是我们的灵魂啊，就是我们越来越多的会意识到灵性的实相和灵智性的实相在我们里边和在我们周围。
So what of neither is the conscious, therefore he must work in the mind of which you. So that's so what they're saying is that because we're not so conscious of the electrical, chemical, physical reality, we don't have that much control over it. We don't really have a full understanding of it. And because we don't really understand the morantial reality around us, and we haven't really developed ourselves, we have to do all of our work in this lifetime in our minds. That's where we're making all our decisions, and where we're making our progress, where we are evolving. It's all taking place in our mind.
对，他就是这个最后这一句话，其实就是说，因为我们没有办法控制我们这个那电化学机制啊，也和那个上面的灵魂灵智性的能量系统大概都没办法控制的。我们控制的领域只在我们的心识啊，只在我们做什么样的决定啊，掌握我们的进步啊、进化呀，全都就是说我们的主观能动性大概只能在心识这个层面比较能发挥作用。
And as I said, we should not feel limited by this, because our mind has unlimited potential. It's a very powerful tool. For example, okay, it's a temporary computer, and it's not as powerful as our morantial self and the cosmic mind that we're going to be using in our next life. But imagine if you plug in your temporary computer into the main computer, the cosmic mind. Now it has incredible capacity.
Yeah, I got it. 对，我们不要因此觉得受到限制，实际上就是我们的这个临时的这个工具是非常的强大的，甚至是无限的。这个临时的这个电脑，你把它插到这个主要的电脑，就是跟网络接通，接到那个宇宙心智，那么实际上你就跟灵性世界啊，就是完全接上了。
I just want to say, this is not the book, this is me talking. I just want to say, in this lifetime, nothing ever holds us back. There are no limitations. We can go as far as we want. Nothing ever holds us down.
对，我只是想说，就是海蒂在自己就这跟一个评论，在我们的这一生当中，没有什么事物能够阻止我们的，我们想走多远就能走多远。
When things happen that we don't understand, we call them miracles, but there's no such thing as a miracle. Everything has an explanation, but when we don't understand it, when we can't explain it, we call it a miracle.
就是他提到我们的，当说到我们不了解的事物的时候，我们说，哎，这个是奇迹，但是实际上没有什么奇迹，实际上都是可以解释得通的。
So life is full of miracles all around us all the time.
生命充满了这种惊喜，这种奇迹，总是会有不断的会有惊喜。
So we're always throughout eternity, as we evolve, we will always be seeing miracles around us, not just on this earth, in all of our lives, because there will always be things happening around us that we don't understand yet.
对，就不光这个生命，下一届生命，就是其他的生命都是会充满了奇迹，因为总是有一些的事物我们不了解的、不懂得的。
And miracles are good things. They're wonderful things. They're magical things.
对，奇迹是充满了，是非常的棒的，是充满了那个神奇的。
So we should accept miracles. We should look for miracles. We should want miracles. We should try to observe miracles. They're always happening. We should just try to start noticing them.
对，我们是需要学习接受奇迹，寻找奇迹和渴望奇迹，并且去观察奇迹，这样你会注意到更多的奇迹发生。
So there are people who say, I don't believe in miracles.
那有一些人说我不相信奇迹。
In one way, they're right, because everything does have an explanation. In one way, they're really not miracles. They're just things we don't understand. So in that way, they're correct.
有些人说不相信奇迹，但是就是实际上只是因为他们不懂得，没有找到一个合理的答案。
But they're really completely wrong, because they're saying they don't believe in miracles, which is like saying, I don't believe anything is possible unless I understand it.
实际上他们是说我不相信任何的事，我不懂得的事物，就是任何事物我不懂的话，那么我就不相信。
When you're a child, half of the things you're seeing are miracles because you've never seen them before and you don't understand them.
对你，当你是孩子的时候，很多事情对你来说都是奇迹，因为你不懂那些东西。
But as you get older, that same thing that you thought was so amazing when the first time you saw it, you understand it completely. It's not even amazing anymore.
随着年龄增长，你以前对你来说非常令人讶异的，那么因为你懂了，所以对你来说并不神奇了。
So again, I will say that someone who doesn't believe in miracles is actually someone who doesn't believe anything can happen that they don't understand. That's a crazy idea.
对，那么那些人说他不相信神迹的人，实际上是在说他们不相信任何他们不懂得的事物。
Imagine living in a world where nothing happened unless everyone understood it. What a horrible world that would be.
对，你想象一下，你是生活在一个世界，除非每个人都懂得，那么没有不懂得的事情发生，那么这是一个多么可怕的世界。
So we live in a world where people are trying to deny the reality of miracles. They're trying to say there's no such thing as miracles. But that's crazy. That's crazy thinking.
对，我们生活的世界，有人就是否认那个奇迹的实相，那么这是非常疯狂的。
Imagine if every baby was every baby that was born was brought up being told that they were a magical, eternal being who will create their own life, a life where anything is possible.
Yeah. 想象一下，如果每一个小孩从出生下来就被告知说你是一个就是永恒的神奇的一个奇迹，你可以创造你自己的生活。
Imagine if they were told that they have God inside them as their partner every minute of every day, and they have angels guarding them.
对，就是被告知说，哎，神在你的里面，神是你的伙伴，创造的伙伴，这个还有天使来陪伴你。
Imagine if they were told that they can keep growing and growing and growing, and one day they will be like a God.
是想象一下这样的小孩儿在就是被告知他们可以一直长啊长啊，总有一天会像神一样。
Not like the God, but like a God. A
不是
lesser
那
God,
个
a man God.
不是那个本源神，而是就是神其中的一位。
Imagine if they were told, if every baby from as soon as they were born, if they were told that they have one job to do, and that job is to spread love and light in this life.
想象一下，如果每个小孩从小的时候，他就说你只有一个工作要做，就是去播撒爱和光。
Imagine if every baby were told that every thought they think is heard by God, and every prayer is heard and answered, and that they are loved as if they are God's only child.
想象一下，如果每个孩子都告诉他们说他们的每个想法，神都听得到，他们的每个祷告，神都会答应，那么他们被神所爱，就像他们是神唯一的孩子。
And imagine if every single baby were told that there's nothing they ever have to worry about. There's nothing they ever have to be afraid of, because life is eternal, and the next life will be even better than this one, and the next one even better than that one, and the next one even better than that one. And that life is just going to be full of miracles, and that whatever happens, God will be there, will be holding their hand, that nothing bad can ever happen to them.
对，再想象一下，那么就他们没有必要有任何的恐惧和焦虑，那么他们在永恒当中的一世比一世会过得更好，会充满了各种的神迹。不管发生什么，总是神会握住他们的手。
And lastly, imagine if every single child were brought up believing that they are a miracle, and that their life will be full of miracles.
对，现在想想，最后就是每一个孩子都被告知，他们每一个人都是一个奇迹，他们的生活会充满了奇迹。
How different the world would be.
那么这个世界会多么的不同。
So the Urantia book says it's not what you comprehend that matters. It's what you desire to comprehend.
Yes，那么他这个地方就是说，你不是你已经成为什么样，而是你努力想要成为什么样子。
And it's not what your mind is like. It's not how developed your mind is. It's what you're striving for. It's what you want to be like.
对，不是你已经成为什么样子，而是你努力想要成为的样子。
And it's not whether or not you are aware of God or understand God. It's whether you yearn for God. That's That's what determines how far you will go in the universe.
对，不是你意识到或者是了解神有多多，而是说你对神就是渴望对神的了解，这个决定你走多远，在宇宙当中走多远。
It's just very simple. They're just saying, doesn't matter what you are, doesn't matter where you are, doesn't matter how you are. All that matters is what you want to be.
对，不是说你已经有多好，或者你现在在哪里，而只是说你想要去哪，你想要去到哪里，这个是重要的。
So there's an expression that I don't know if I have it exactly right, but it says more or less, it's harder to rule your own mind than it is to rule the whole world.
对，他说有个说法哈，可能并不是那么准确，就是表达，他就说那个控制你自己的头脑比统治这个世界更难。
So everyone wonders what their life purpose is and what their mission is and what they should do with their life. And I would say, just try to control your thoughts. Just learn to be the master of your own mind. That's a good goal for this life.
当有人问说生命的目的的时候，那么我会给他建议说，你就是要学习那个控制你的思想、你的头脑，你就作为你心智的主人，成为你心识的主人的时候，你就达到了生活的目的。
If you can teach yourself not to think any negative thoughts, then you have done what very few human beings have ever done.
对，如果你能控制自己不那些的负面的念头的时候，你就是达到了很少人能够达到的成就。
That would make you a very great ruler.
那使你成为一个很好的统治者。
If you're a ruler of your own universe.
对，是你自己宇宙的一个统治者。
Okay, it says mind is the cosmic instrument on which the human will. We didn't read this, right?
No, you haven't.
Yeah, oh, I haven't. Okay. Mind is the cosmic instrument on which the human will can play the discords of destruction, or upon which the same human will can bring forth the exquisite melodies of God identification and consequent eternal survival. The adjuster bestowed upon man is, in the last analysis, impervious to evil and incapable of sin. But mortal mind can actually be twisted, distorted, and rendered evil and ugly by the sinful machinations of a perverse and self-seeking human will. Likewise, can this mind be made noble, beautiful, true, and good, actually great, in accordance with the spirit illuminated will of a God-knowing human being. So this is saying your mind is not good or evil. It's your will. Your will makes your mind good or evil. You can make your mind godlike, or you can make it evil and sick and twisted.
他这段是这本节的第6段哈，他说，你的心智无所谓是善恶啊，但是你的意志是可以，有善恶的。
So it's saying that your mind, I was calling it a temporary computer, but here they're calling it a musical instrument. So you can play beautiful, beautiful melodies that affect everyone around you, or you can play horrible, ugly music that also affects everyone around you.
对，那我前面把这个心识比作电脑，这个地方呢，它又比作这个乐器啊，你的心识比作乐器，你可以演奏比较和谐的、美丽的乐章，或者你演奏非常的差的、刺耳的声音。
So if everything is frequency and energy, then our minds are also frequency and energy. And I think, people around you feel your frequency and energy. So it's up to us to play those beautiful melodies in our mind, and it will affect our surroundings. Absolutely.
Yeah. 如果一切都是频率和能量，那么你的就是头脑心识肯定也是别人都可以感受到你的频率，那么肯定它是会影响你的周围的。
So when you're with someone, think good thoughts about them. When you're walking down the street, think good thoughts about the people around you. Learn when you're driving your car, think good thoughts about all the people on the highway. Learn when you're in nature, think good thoughts about the plants you see. And when you're with animals, think good thoughts about them. Everyone and everything will feel that energy.
对，那就是所以你要时常注意，要升起好的念头。那么你，走路的时候对路人要有这个升起好的善念。那么开车的时候对周围的司机也升起好的善念。在自然当中对这个动物啊、植物啊都升起善念。
The Urantia book is just saying that mind is a cosmic instrument that we can play good music or bad music. The rest I just made up myself.
对，玉书只是说这个，我们的心识是宇宙性的乐器，那么其他的都是我引申的。
I want to make clear. Yeah.
Good extension.
Yeah. I have to don't want to forget. I don't want to act like I'm, saying something in the book when I'm that's just Heidi. That's my mind working. Okay. So now it does say in the book, the adjuster bestowed upon man. So his adjuster is pure good. All the evil in us, none of it comes from our adjuster. That comes from our own will. Our personality has a will. We're given a will. And what we do with it is it's our choice. Who knows why we make the choices we make? Some people, it could be our childhood, it could be our experience, but yet two people from the same childhood, one chooses evil and one chooses good. That is such a mystery to me. I personally don't understand what makes someone choose evil and what makes someone else choose good.
对，那个就是我们的人格哈，有这个自由，被赋予自由意志嘛。那么实际上，比如说两个人经历同样的童年，就是有可能一个就发展到比较好的路上，选择做好的，然后另外可能就走到不太好的路上。对，他说他一直不太理解能懂得这个为什么。
But the good news is that this is me talking, but the good news is people who choose evil can change and they can choose good.
对，不过好消息是，就是即使选择错误路线的人，他也是可以改变的比较正确的好的路上。
But when you choose evil again and again and again, when you choose evil long enough, the Urantia book says this, there does come a time when you can no longer choose good. You no longer understand the difference between good and evil. You kill that ability to, you basically become cosmically insane. You no longer have the sanity to choose correctly.
他说，如果你持续的选择恶的道路，做恶的决定，那么总是会有一天你没有办法懂得 就是区分啊，那个善恶啊，到最后你就是相当于宇宙性的你疯狂了，对，这个是很可惜的。
So they're saying so they're saying it's not, no one has an evil mind. It's your will that chooses how to use your mind. So it says the adjuster bestowed is impervious to evil, is incapable of sin. The adjuster is pure goodness, but mortal mind can actually be twisted, distorted, and rendered evil and ugly by the sinful machinations of a perverse and self-seeking human will. So it's the will that can become evil and perverse, and then it makes your mind ugly. Likewise, can this mind be made noble, beautiful, true, and good, actually great, in accordance with the spirit illuminated will of a God-knowing human being? So you're given a mind, it's a clean slate. You know that expression, a clean
Yeah.
slate? Yeah. Your mind is a clean slate. You can make it good or evil.
对，你的心智就是一个白板儿，你的自由意志就相当于你是选择在上面怎么画什么，是这样子。
Okay, so then it says, evolutionary mind is only fully stable. We'll finish up this up to nature of the soul for sure, and then we'll probably be done for the day. Evolutionary mind is only fully stable and dependable when manifesting itself upon the two extremes of cosmic intellectuality, the wholly mechanized and the entirely spiritualized. I'm going to read that sentence again. Evolutionary mind is only fully stable and dependable when manifesting itself upon the two extremes of cosmic intellectuality, the wholly mechanized and the entirely spiritualized. Between the intellectual extremes of pure mechanical control and true spirit nature, there intervenes that enormous group of evolving and ascending minds whose stability and tranquility are dependent upon personality choice and spirit identification. I'm going to read the next paragraph. But man does not passively... Oh, wait, did we read this yet?
No.
But this is where we didn't read yet, right? But man.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to read it just because it goes so much with that other paragraph.
Okay.
But man does not passively, slavishly surrender his will to the adjuster. Rather, does he actively, positively, and cooperatively choose to follow the adjuster's leading when, and as such, leading consciously differs from the desires and impulses of the natural mortal mind. The adjusters manipulate but never dominate man's mind against his will. To the adjusters, the human will is supreme, and they so regard and respect it, while they strive to achieve the spiritual goals of thought adjustment and character transformation in the almost limitless arena of the evolving human intellect. So, Eva, you can read that last paragraph. Is Eva? Yeah, if you're still awake.
伊娃，你还醒着吗？你还醒着的话，就把这两段。
这样呢
OK。
是把7、8、9都读完是吗
？7、8、9 ，OK，Yeah。
111.1.7，进化中的心智只有在宇宙智慧的2个极端上表现出来时，完全机械化和完全灵性化才是完全稳定和可靠的。在纯机械控制和真实灵性本质这2个智性极端之间，有一个庞大的进化和扬升心智群体介入，它们的稳定和宁静取决于人格选择和灵性认同。 111.1.8，但是人类不会被动奴性的让自己的意志臣服于调整者。相反，当调整者的引导有意识的与凡人心智的欲望和冲动不同的时候，人会主动、积极、合作的选择跟随这种引导。调整者操纵人的心智，但从不违背人的意愿去支配。对于调整者来说，人类的意志是至高无上的。调整者在人类智力近乎无限的进化领域中，尽力实现心智调整和品格转变的灵性目标，同时保持对人类意志的重视和尊重。111.1.9，心智是你的船，调整者是你的领航员，人类意志是船长。凡人之舟的主人应该有智慧去信任神性领航员，引导扬升的灵魂进入永恒的灵智性港湾。只因自私、懒惰和罪恶，人的意志才会拒绝这位充满爱心的领航员的引导，并最终在拒绝仁慈之邪恶浅滩和拥抱罪恶之顽石上摧毁凡人生涯。经你同意，这位忠实的领航员将安全地带领你穿越时间的屏障和空间的障碍，到达那神性心智的源头，甚至到达调整者的天堂之父那里。OK，
好的，
Okay, thanks. So they're saying evolutionary mind is only fully stable and dependable when manifesting itself upon the two extremes of cosmic intellectuality, the wholly mechanized and the entirely spiritualized. So they're saying that our mind, there's really two parts of our mind. There's the physical brain, which is the mechanized part of our mind, and you know, the neurotransmitters and these like synapses and this electrical messages going on and all this stuff. And then there's the spiritual part of our brain, which is tuned into the adjutant circuits, which is processed by our personality and our will, all these, and which if we choose, can also be influenced by our thought adjuster, who is working with us in our minds. So there's two parts of our mind, and a stable and dependable mind will use both equally. We'll have a nice balance between the physical and the material.
对，它就是1.7哈，两个说心智有两个极端，完全机械化，完全灵性化。那我们的物质大脑是完全的机械化的。那么，灵性化那边呢，就是我们调到就是辅助心灵圆圈的回路并且接受思想调整者的指导。如果是一个稳定的、可靠的心识，它是可以在这两者之间能够比较平衡的运作。
And then they're telling us that a healthy, balanced mind will be a mind that makes good decisions with our will. Will make good choices and good decisions, and will be guided by our thought adjuster. They call it spirit identification. The spirit of God in us, we will identify with that spirit. So that's a good, healthy mind.
对，一个健康的平衡的心智会就是在思想调整者的指导下做出发挥他的自由意志，做出正确的好的决定，那么是有一个比较 正确的属灵认同。
And they use the words stability and tranquility, and stable and tranquil. These days, so many people have mental illnesses. They're full of anxiety, and their mind, they can't shut off their mind. They can't sleep. They can't control their mind. And they're saying that you can have a stable and tranquil mind if you're making good choices and listening to your spirit.
对，他就是想到这个稳定和宁静啊，就是做正确的决定，能够听从思想调整者的引导，那么对你的稳定和宁静，也是有帮助的。
So then in the next paragraph, the one Eva just read, they say that you don't become a slave to your thought adjuster. You don't just lie down passively and say, hey, you run the show, whatever you want goes. It's a cooperation. It's a coordination. You are constantly giving your thought adjuster permission to help you and to guide you. You're not a slave to your thought adjuster. You're always the master. The thought adjuster always respects your free will, your choice, your ability to make the decisions. Never will the thought adjuster dominate your mind or control your mind.
对，那么你跟思想调整者他之间是合作的关系，你不是说你就是成为他的奴隶，你始终是那主人，然后这个思想调整总是尊重你的自由意志，你总是有能力做出你自己的选择。
And I love the way they say here, but man does not passively surrender his will, rather does he actively, positively, and cooperatively choose to follow the adjuster's leading. But I love the way they say, when and as such leading consciously differs from the desires and impulses of the natural mortal mind. So what they're saying is that there are many times when the adjuster's guidance and your mind want the same things. They're on the same wavelength. They're in total alignment. So, they're not saying you always want to do something and the adjuster always wants you to do something else. They're saying sometimes, but other times you're in alignment. So you don't have to constantly, every minute of every day, say, please guide, please steer me, please tell me what to do. A lot of times you're just operating in complete harmony with your adjuster. It says it right here. It says you choose to follow the adjuster's leading when and such leading consciously differs from the desires and impulses of your mind. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing for us to know. We're not always fighting our adjuster. Many times we're in perfect harmony.
实际上我们并不是说我们的心识一定总是跟思想调整者的意见相左，那么大部分时间我们实际上心识的那个跟思想调整者是以同一方向的完全的和谐的状态。那么第二句呢是说，当我们意识到这个不同心智的欲望冲动跟这个思想调整者引导不同的时候，我们还是有选择，会主动积极合作的选择，跟随这种引导。
And this last sentence is also very reassuring because it says, and we're talking about and it says, and the thought adjusters so respect your mind that they, while they strive to achieve spiritual goals of thought adjustment and character transformation in the almost limitless arena of the evolving human intellect. So that's the last sentence. So what they've told us is, yes, the only thing we control is our mind, but the mind is an almost limitless arena. So as we're evolving in our mind, that's our area. That's our own little universe that we control completely, but it's an almost limitless universe. We're not held back. We're not constrained. Yes, we only control our mind, but it's a whole universe. It's limitless. What we can do in our mind is almost limitless.
这个思想调整者哈，当然他是尽力的去帮我们实现心智调整啊、品格转变这些的灵性目标。但是人类智力的这个竞技场呢是无限的，就是我们有无限的发展空间在这个这现实的这个竞技场上面。
And I also like this last sentence because it says, and they so regard and respect our mind while they strive to achieve spiritual goals of thought adjustment and character transformation. So I like this because it says, yes, they're trying to adjust our thoughts to achieve spiritual goals of thought adjustment. So we're trying to adjust our thoughts to have more spiritual thoughts, to be more aligned with the Spirit of God. But they're also saying that causes character transformation. So I love that. So as we become, as our thoughts become more spiritualized and more in line with the will of God, our characters transform. It changes our character. So our personality may never change. We are who we are, but our characters do change. Our characters change very much, but our characters, we transform our character by changing our thoughts.
对，让我们就是让我们的心就是跟那个神的意志更协调的时候，我们的品质同时也发生改变。
So it's telling us
品格，就是人格不变，但是品格会转变。
So it's telling us that as we're evolving our minds by working with our thought adjusters, we are changing as a person. It's changing who we are.
对，那就相当于我们这心识的进化呢，也同时改变我们的所事。
So that's very important. I mean, our character, so when we're in a situation, our natural impulse will change. We'll become this kind of person rather than that kind of person. We'll become a braver person, a stronger person, maybe a funnier person, maybe a lighter instead of so heavy, maybe happy instead of so sad. So it will truly change our character.
对，它就是改变我们的品质啊，品格呀，就是我们可能会变得勇敢了，或者坚强了，或者更没有那么沉重了，然后更比较的不那么悲哀了，比较喜悦的，这都是可以达成的一种改变。
We don't have to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. We don't have to lug a huge burden through life. We really only have to change our thoughts. We only have one job, and that's to control the way we think. All the rest will take care of itself. We'll get help when we need it. We'll get through it. It's not that big a deal. That's the most important. That's all we should worry about. We shouldn't even worry about that. We should just focus on it, feel good about it.
对，我们没必要把世界的重量都放在我们的肩上，或者把生活的重担都来揽在我们身上。我们只有一个任务和工作，就是要控制我们的头脑、我们的思想。
And that's me talking.
这是我在说话。
Okay, here's the last paragraph of this section of the mind. This section was called the mind arena of choice. It's all about the mind and how we make choices in the mind. This is the last paragraph.
对，下一段是最后一段，本节的最后一段。
Mind is your ship. The adjuster is your pilot. The human will is captain. The master of the mortal vessel should have the wisdom to trust the divine pilot to guide the ascending soul into the Marancha harbors of eternal survival. Only by selfishness, slothfulness, and sinfulness can the will of man reject the guidance of such a loving pilot and eventually wreck the mortal career upon the evil shoals of rejected mercy and upon the rocks of embraced sin. With your consent, this faithful pilot will safely carry you across the barriers of time and the lands and the handicaps of space to the very source of the divine mind and on beyond, even to the paradise father of adjusters. So beautiful.
Yeah, so poetic.
Yeah. And remember we talked about alliteration, where you use the same letter to begin words to make more of a, they say it here in English. It may not be in Chinese, but they say, wait, I noticed they say only by selfishness, slothfulness, and sinfulness. That's a little bit of how they use alliteration in this book.
对，他就是又提到这个，就这最后一段非常的富有诗意嘛，然后这个词藻非常的华丽，它那个英文当中的一种排比，它就是那个词都是又以同一个字母开始的，像其中中间那个自私啊 ，selfishness、slothfulness 呢懒惰 ，sinfulness 罪恶啊，这三个词都是以 s 打头的，这样的一种排比句，就是比较华丽辞藻的这种作文的方式。
It's a literary technique and it is very poetical.
对，这种比较富有诗意的一种文法。
So when the book uses alliteration, I will try to point it out because it won't come through in the translation.
对，他说有这种排比的时候，总是要指出来，因为在翻译的时候会丢掉。
But it's not just this one use of alliteration in this paragraph. The whole paragraph, what they're saying is very poetic and very beautiful.
不光是这一句，就这整个一段都非常富有诗意和非常的美。
In fact, it is so poignant, so meaningful that ever since I read this the first time, I have always kept it in my mind that the adjuster is the pilot.
对，那么他这个语言的冲击性哈，就是他第一次读到的时候，他就是头脑里有深刻的印象，就是调整者是我们的领航员。
If you're on a big ship, you have a captain and a pilot, someone who's actually steering the ship. But sometimes the captain steers the ship. So that's why I like to say that instead of saying that the human being is the captain, I like to say the human being is the owner. We own the ship. We own, or if it's a plane, we own the plane. So I say the captain is because so often the captain is the pilot. Like if you're on a plane, the captain is actually flying the ship. You know what I'm saying, Ricky?
Yeah.
So I like to say we are the owner. We own the plane. We own the ship. The captain is the pilot. We have to let the captain steer the ship.
对，那这个地方呢，他是说调整者是引航员，那么我们是 船长，但是有的时候船长呢，他也是领航的，做决定的。那么，所以我有的时候我的比喻是，我们是那个船的这个所有者啊，然后呢，思想调整者呢是那个领航员跟船长。我有的时候是这样比喻的。
And life seems so unfair. There's all these rocky shoals and dangerous waters and storms, and we're supposed to just go through all this. But life is really very fair because, yes, it's difficult, but we are given an absolutely perfect pilot. Our captain is perfect. Our captain knows how to get through any storm, can land on any perfect harbor. So it's really not as hard as we think, because all we have to do is let our captain do their job.
一方面好像生活看起来不再公平，那么有很多的危险的浅滩啦，危险的水域啊，然后又有暴风雨啊，但是另外一方面又是非常的公平的，所以在这样的艰难的旅程当中，我们有绝对的完美的领航员或者是船长，那么他会带领我们就是停靠到完美的港湾。
That is the big mistake that human beings make. The main mistake we make. We think we have to learn how to captain our ship, how to be a perfect pilot. We don't. We only have to learn how to let our pilot do their job. We only have to learn to trust the pilot that we hired. It's up to us. We don't have to listen to that pilot, we can steer it ourselves, but then we will crash the boat.
对，我们就经常的错误的认为我们要学习怎么样当一个好的船长，当一个好的领航员，但是呢，实际上我们只是就是已经有现成的那个领航员啊，那个优秀的船长，我们只是就是信任我们这个雇佣的这些的优秀的领航员，而不是试图自己去学习怎么样驾船。我们自己去驾，往往就是会不太好的结果。
And you could say, you can play devil's advocate, or you can, this is a good question. You can ask, what, are we supposed to just sit there drinking martinis while the captain steers the ship and does everything? Is that what we're supposed to do in life? Just sit back and watch? No, that's not it. And I'll explain.
对，难道那你可能会问，难道我就是完全放手了，去在边上去喝酒去了，然后只是完全旁观别人怎么开我们的船吗？呢，我会说不是的，让我来解释。
Because we're the one who hired the pilot. It's up to us whether we take his advice or not. So we're making decisions all the time, and we're the one who's deciding where the ship is going. We're choosing the destination. The pilot is not telling us where to go. We're saying, go to Taiwan, go to Taipei, go to Hong Kong, go to Japan. We're the one making the decisions. We are also watching the pilot and learning from the pilot how to steer the ship.
对，我们实际上呢，我们是就雇佣这个领航员，我们实际上是要告诉那个领航员要去哪里，要做决定，就是向哪里去，是要去台湾呢、香港呢、日本呢，我们并且还要仔细的观察领航员他是怎么样驾驶的，我们要跟他学习这些。
We can learn as much as we want from the pilot. When we learn enough, when we learn enough from our pilot, we become so good we could pilot the ship ourselves.
对，我们就是学的足够的，我们实际上是可以自己来，就是那个驾驶自己的船。
When we become a good enough pilot ourselves, that's when we merge with our thought adjuster and become one being. When we learn to just make the same decisions our thought adjuster would make in our lives, that's when we become one with the thought adjuster. That's when we merge on the Marancha worlds.
对，那我们学的足够了，然后就是跟我们的思想调整者融合，然后我们就是相当于会做同样的，凡事做同样的决定，跟思想调整者同样的决定，那就是相当于就在灵智性世界当中达成。
At that point, there's no conflict anymore. It's no longer hard for us to make the right decisions. We do it naturally. That's when talk about transformation of character. That's when our character has been completely transformed by listening to our thought adjuster. When we do that long enough, our character is so transformed that we naturally want to do what our thought adjuster is guiding us to do. And then there's no reason for the thought adjuster and us to be two separate beings. We become one being.
对，那么自然的就是，对，没有冲突之后，那个品格转变，就是时间长了，就是相当于灵魂做的，就是思想调整者做的，就是没有必要，那是两个没有向左的时候，那么就没有必要是两个分别的存有或者个体，那么就是融合成为一个了。
So this paragraph is not just beautiful, but it's also very, very important because it says only by selfishness, slothfulness, and sinfulness can the will of man reject the guidance of such a loving pilot. So this book is telling us over and over again, we don't have to do anything to have eternal survival or to be guided by God. It will naturally happen. All we can do if we have to actively reject it for it not to happen. We don't have to say, oh, I want God to guide me. God is guiding you. You can reject it. The only way it won't happen is if you reject it. You consciously say, no, I don't want you to steer the ship. I'm going to steer my own ship. Sadly, many, many people do reject it.
对，这一段其实以前他也提过，那个就是实际上我们自然而然的，我们的生命就是由神在引航的，没有必要就是主动的要求被引航，但是只有当我们主动的拒绝被引航的时候，那么这个东西才造成问题。但是很悲哀的，很多人的确就是主动的拒绝这个神的引航。
We have to learn to understand that our personality wants to evolve. We want to be eternal. We want to be perfect. We want to be godlike. That's our innate desire. The only thing that can stop any of this miraculous, beautiful, wonderful stuff from happening is our will. If we decide to reject God and goodness and miracles and life.
Yeah. 对，那么就是我们要学习领悟到我们的人格自然的就想要进化，想要永恒，想要完美，对，只有就是说，我们如果 自己决定那个这些的发生的时候，这才会。
You know, we don't have to, the primitive savage men, they thought they had to kill animals and do crazy dances and say these crazy things and burn plants to make the sun come up every day. They thought they had to, you know, if they didn't do all these things, nothing good would happen. But that's not true. The sun comes up every day, with or without us. The stars shine every night, with or without us. When you put seeds in the ground, those plants grow with or without us. Now, they'll grow better if we help them and love them, but we didn't plant the plants on this planet. They grew by themselves. When our bodies get sick, they want to heal. It's natural to heal. When a storm comes, every time we have a hurricane or a storm, it clears up by itself. We don't have to do crazy dances and talk to spirit. The storm will pass. The life wants to be good. God is the dominant force in the universe. We're not taught that. We forget that.
对，那个原始人呢，他有相信他要跳舞啊，就说一些的咒语啊，然后烧一些的东西啊，然后太阳第二天才会升起。但是呢，太阳每天都会升起，星星每天都会闪耀，不管我们做或者不做什么，植物也会自己生长，然后万物都有自然的疗愈的能力。那么发生一些海啸，它自然的也会慢慢的，就是挺那个恢复。然后呢，生活整个的趋向是趋向于这样好的方向的。
So this is just me talking on and on, but we finished this section, and the next section is going to be the nature of the soul.
对，这是这一部分，第一部分结束，第二部分下一次是灵魂的本质。
So I think the lesson of the day is that we're given these wonderful tools. They're our minds, and they're unlimited, and everything that's going to happen to us now and forever is going to happen because of the decisions we make right now in our mind in this lifetime.
对，那么就是今天主要的总结性的，就是说我们给予这个心识或者心智是一个非常的好的工具，是有无限的那个潜力，对，无限的可能，然后现在或者永远，我们的决定，是决定这个我们这个生命的走向。
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say is what it said in this book today, what we read today, that our minds are instruments. We're given these incredible instruments, and it's up to us. We can play beautiful music if we want, and that can be our life. Our life can be having a mind that's a beautiful instrument playing beautiful music.
还有就是心识还是一个天赐的这么好的乐器，那么我们是取决于我们是否要用它来演奏美妙的音乐。
And I would advise everyone, and including myself, to hang around, to surround yourself with people who are also playing beautiful music in their minds.
对，那么我邀请每一个人呢，都就是让自己的周围都围绕这样的愿意用自己的心识来演奏美妙音乐的人。
So I'm sure, does anyone still awake? I don't know.
Yeah, it's quite long today, but people
Yeah.
are still here.
Okay.
It's amazing, very impressive.
Very impressive, very impressive. Well, we finished
Three
this section.
others. Yeah, 3 others are still with us.
I know, I wanted to finish the
Yeah.
whole paper today, but
Yeah, we kind of catch up, because last time we didn't read any, so now
I
today
know.
we done two section actually,
Maybe,
including preface. Yeah.
we did? Oh, right, we started with the new paper. Yeah. So that's not so bad.
Yeah. Okay. So I can stop recording now.
Yeah.